Welcome to part 3 of What If Naruto Awakens a Chakra Molding Bloodline and Gets Harem with Fem Haku. Don't forget to like and subscribe as it motivates me to upload more videos in the future, and as always, link to the fanfiction is in the description. Chapter 17. Early in the morning, Naruto woke up slightly confused as to why he had a bruise on his chest until he fully remembered what happened and jumped out of his bed to quickly get ready for the day. He then ran out the door telling Jiraiya that he was going to train. Course said man was just waking up and could only chuckle at his companion's determination. Though he soon went through his own morning routine a bit faster than normal so that he could go research as much as possible before Naruto eventually came back wanting to go find Tsunade again. For he figured that just like normal, Naruto would be a fast learner, even more so now that he had a reason to push himself even further. So, he wanted to make sure that some work could be done before the brat tried to get him caught, which seemed to always be his hobby whenever he catches him. Gaki, I always felt like you were family to me, but I still hate that you always tried to stop me from learning about the female body. And now it seems that your son has taken up that idea as well. I heard of family pranks, but come on, what does a guy have to do to finally get a student that is perverted enough to learn all of the wonderful skills I have? Jiraiya complained, already knowing that Naruto wouldn't ever be that much of a pervert. But that wouldn't stop him from trying, of course. Naruto_. After Naruto left the room, he quickly went out of the town and found a shady area under a tree and began trying to form the Rasengan in his palm. For he figured that if he could do it this way first, then trying to do it while attacking someone would be easier to do. Course he failed many times, but each time he did, he simply began again, determined to get it right in his time limit. Now of course he could always use the shadow clone jutsu to help himself out, but he wanted to try and learn the jutsu without using his cheat, if possible. In fact, he would only use the jutsu to help if he was running out of time. After all, even if he wanted to learn it without his clone's help, that didn't mean he wanted to lose that much money each and every year. Still, thanks to the amount of chakra he had, he ended up being able to practice all the way to lunch, even though each time he failed the jutsu he lost a decent amount of chakra. I will get this jutsu right. Just you wait, grandma. I will prove to you that I was serious. Naruto thought, determined as he went into town to buy a good lunch before going right back to work. He really should have realized and/or read that the shadow clone jutsu would work that way. I mean, in the anime he spams them more than enough even to figure out this, even if he was the dumbest person in the world. Tsunade. Tsunade spent the day after the fight simply trying to figure out what she was going to do with the options that Orochimaru gave her. After all, she truly did want her loved ones back, but was it worth letting a monster destroy the village she once loved? Course, thinking of both her loved ones and the village brought her thoughts back to the end of the fight she had earlier. There is no way that boy can learn the rest of that jutsu in a week. After all, Kushi-chan tried to get me to learn it, and for some reason even I couldn't get it to work. And that is with having nearly perfect chakra control due to being a medical ninja. But why does he have to remind me of them so much? She thought, then gave a sigh as she drank the rest of the bottle that she had and quickly ordered another. Konoha Hinata_. Even though Hinata knew that Naruto was gone for the moment, she still went towards his house to at least visit Haku. Which is how she ended up happily sitting on Naruto's couch as she tried to talk to Haku, who seemed to make it a goal to get the entire apartment clean for her master. You know, Haku, he didn't ask for you to clean while he was away, and even if he did, I doubt he meant to keep it this clean. Hinata told her friend, who was now wiping down a table that Hinata could have sworn she saw get cleaned at least twice already. Maybe so, but it is my duty as his servant to keep everything perfect for my master. Just because I am now in a romantic relationship with him changes nothing about my duties to master. Haku told her friend, firm in her belief. Well, no one can ever deny that she isn't dedicated, though I still have no idea why she still desires for Naruto to be her master. I mean, I know for a fact already that he has tried to get her to stop several times with only limited results. Maybe I should let No, she doesn't get that back yet because of what she did. Kurenai-sensei train Haku into what she thinks is more of a proper woman. Hinata thought, adding in the only semi-respectful term to Kurenai's name, seeing as although she was forgiven already, Hinata still held a slight grudge for breaking up a precious moment that she had with her dream guy. Course she was about to enact her plan until a small toad that jumped beside her broke her from her train of thought by surprising her by talking. Yo, do you happen to know where a girl named Haku is? She is support to live here, I think. The orange toad told her, ignoring the fact that she was still in a state of shock from hearing an amphibian talk to her. Haku-chan, you have a guest who wishes to speak to you here. Hinata ended up telling her friend, who quickly looked at her friend and then at the toad. Yo. It greeted her happily. What do you need me for, Toad-san? Haku asked, not knowing exactly what to think at the moment. Well, first of, my name is Gamakichi, not Toad. And second, I have a message to give. He told her happily, then handed her the scroll off his back and disappeared in a poof of smoke before either girl could ask any more questions. Course Haku eventually just shrugged off the strangeness and opened the scroll after examining it for possible traps. Dear Haku-chan, sorry for sending this message through a summing toad, which I just signed the contract for without you even knowing about them first, but it is the only way that I could contact you. Anyways, first of all, I hope you and the rest of the girls are doing fine, and I promise that I will be back as soon as I can. Though I just remembered a little while ago that I didn't even check on Konohamaru after, you know. This was of course due to my own sulking, but still I feel bad that I wasn't there for my student when he needed support. So, if you don't mind, could you please bring the scroll I have sealed below to him when you get a chance? Hopefully it will help him a bit to read. Still, I am sorry for making you do this, but I have just now thought about it, seeing as my thoughts are clearer now. Thank you. Love. Naruto Uzumaki. Course after reading this, various emotions were running through Haku all at once as she just stared at the note. Oh Naruto-sama, even though you loved Hokage-sama just as much as Konohamaru-san, you still get mad at yourself for not comforting him. You truly do act foolish at times. After all, how could you help him when you yourself needed our help? I wish that you would stop trying to keep all your emotions locked up in favor of trying to help and protect others. We want to be there for you as well. Haku thought with a sigh, but then smiled a bit. Well, at least I now know he cares enough to make sure that we know that he loves us even while he is who knows how far away. She added, feeling the desire to hug her boyfriend but couldn't for obvious reason. Course after she was done thinking, she turned to Hinata, who was just looking at her with curiosity clear on her face. It was a message for Naruto saying that he loves us all and asking for a favor. So you wouldn't happen to know where Konohamaru is right now, would you? Haku explains, then asks after she unsealed the other note. Random training field. Konohamaru was training as hard as he could under the watchful eyes of his sensei. Now normally he would be at school, but they were given a few days off while the village recovered. Though that was the last thing that he wanted. So, instead of relaxing, he threw himself into training as hard as he could to keep his thoughts on anything but his grandfather. For while he was feeling better thanks to Asuma, he still was grieving just like the smoker was. Though he was forced to stop when all of a sudden two girls that he quickly recognized as friends, lovers of his boss. Hello Haku-chan, Hinata-chan, what are you two doing here? He asked the girls, who simply smiled warmly at the kid. After all, they knew that he thought of them as almost his sisters, seeing as he considered Naruto to basically be an older brother mentor. Well, Konohamaru-san, Naruto asked me to give this to you. Haku told him, simply handing over the note. Now we won't get in the way of your training anymore, so see ya later. Haku told him warmly, giving him a quick smile before leaving, with Hinata following just as fast as they came. Though of course instead of going back to his training again. So, he simply told Ebisu, asked if he could take a brief break, which said man quickly agreed to, seeing as he had been trying to get Konohamaru to take it easier, seeing as he saw the boy getting fatigued already. Course said boy refused so much that he was forced to simply watch, seeing as the boy wasn't doing anything that would harm him any more than a very intense workout. Ebisu only hopped, his student didn't go into chakra exhaustions. So, soon enough the boy was sitting under a nearby tree and began reading. Dear Konohamaru, I am sorry for not being there for you in your time of need. Which is only made worse now that I am on a mission that is for the good of the village rather than talking to you in person like I should. Anyways, I had Haku-chan give this to you just to let you know that your boss, as you so love to call me, didn't totally forget about you. Also, although I am sure that you have heard this already and already know it to be true as well, but I am going to say it anyways. Gigi doesn't want us to be grieving so much that we can't live our own lives. Instead he would want us to move on and live in the present rather than dwell on the past. So, please just make sure that you do just that. And by that, I mean living as you normally would. I mean you of course are going to be sad for a while just as I am, but remember that Moegi and Udon plus all your other friends wouldn't want you to be depressed for ages. So, anyways, I need to continue my mission soon, so I will wrap up my message by just reminding you to keep pushing yourself to be as good as you can. Sincerely, Naruto Uzumaki, your boss. P.S. I surprisingly found a scroll on using bow staffs in a weapon shop that actually seemed to be interesting. So, maybe you could find use for them in the practice bow I have put in a storage seal on under this message. Use them if you want, but I bet they could help you achieve your goal of surpassing the Hokage. Course when Konohamaru read this he couldn't help but cry a bit as he was reminded of his grandfather, but soon forced himself to stop and at the end of the note gained a determined look on his face and unsealed the gift that Naruto gave him. Boss, thank you. Even if you don't think so, I still see you as one of my greatest teachers. I promise you that I will not let my sadness hinder my life. For I am going to be a ninja of Konohagakure. Also thank you for the bow. While you might not have stated it, I know you already knew just what I needed to help myself keep from getting too upset. A way to remember my crazy grandpa. Konohamaru thought, with his determination still clearly shown as he opened up one of the scrolls that he was given and began reading. Course Ebisu, who saw all of this, couldn't help but smirk a bit. I may have disliked you at first, Naruto, but you have just proven that I was foolish to do that. After all, you were able to help someone while not even being here, while both me and Asuma couldn't. As much as I hate to admit it, there is a good reason why he respects you as his sensei just as much, if not more, than he does me. The man thinks as he simply watched Konohamaru focus completely on a scroll as he, without realizing, it gave his body time to rest at least a bit before he went back to train some more. While the jutsu uses the word staff, and I understand why I will be calling the staffs boss, seeing as I looked up how to spell bow and it should be right. Also I am calling it a bow, seeing as in my karate class when I use one we always say bow or bow staff, so I just can't bring myself to call it a staff anymore. Hinata, Haku. After giving Konohamaru his message, the two girls began walking back to Haku's shared apartment, seeing as Haku claimed she still needed to clean for her master, even though Hinata tried to talk her out of it in her own shy fashion. Thankfully that plan was stopped by randomly finding Ino, who just happened to be walking to get something to eat on the same road. So, much to the displeasure of the busy Haku, they all ended up going with Ino to the Akamichi restaurant. So, what have you girls been up to? Ino asked happily after they finished ordering. Well, I was cleaning for Naruto-sama, Haku told the girl simply, for while Naruto wanted her to not be basically his slave, she was too used to acting like it all her life for her to be able to stop anytime soon. Geez Haku, you really need to lay off the master-slave relationship. I mean, Naruto has even told you that he wanted you to be your own free person. Ino told her friend, concerned for her. I know that he wants me to do so, but I have lived my entire life being taught that I am a tool. And while I loved Zabuza like a father and knew he cared for me even though he didn't like to show that weakness much, he still made sure I learned this way. So, while I try to change for him to what you all consider the better choice, it is hard for me. Haku explained. I mean, come on, she has been taught to be submissive enough that she would die for her master. That is serious brainwashing in the actual anime. Oh, I guess that makes sense. Ino mumbled, a bit ashamed. Course after that they all sat in relative silence for a few moments before their food and drinks showed up, which thankfully didn't take that long. Anyways, just try your best to retrain yourself to be what you want to be, Haku, and remember that we are there for you. Plus, I bet Naruto is rooting for you as well. Ino finally decided to tell the girl, then changed the awkward subject, which the other two happily allowed. Very tiny warp forward equals. Yay, I know it will help me in the long run, but all of the mind training for my clan jutsus is so hard at times, though I bet it is the same for you too, learning about your bloodlines. Ino explained and got nods from the other two. Course by this time a good portion of the meat they got was already gone, but the girls were still having a good time. For all throughout the meal after they moved from their awkward conversation, their chat contained nothing but topics they enjoyed talking about. In fact, even shy Hinata managed to come out of her shell a bit and was explaining a story in a kind of quiet tone of voice when they were greeted by a few surprise guests. Hello Ino, didn't expect to see you here except for our team meetings. Asuma told the girl while he walked to the table just behind his other two students. Well yeah, I do prefer sweet foods from other places quite a bit, but you bringing me here has made me grow to enjoy the taste of the food just as much if not more. Ino responded. For after Asuma got her off of the idea of dieting, Ino often spent her meals eating foods that she sacrificed, which turned out to be mostly sweeter tasting foods. For it seemed that even with her desire for the perfect body, she still enjoyed foods like various candies and even proteins with sweetened sauce. Basically foods that seem to have a more sugary taste than others, and I am not going to bother to search for food names right now. Chuckle, well I can't say that is a bad thing. I mean you can't go wrong with food that has the Akamichi clan seal of approval. Asuma told her with a smile, then watched as Choji seemed to nod in approval of his comment. Anyways, do you girls mind if we join you? Don't worry, we will order the next round. Asuma told them when he noticed them glancing at Choji, who was known to eat quite a bit to keep his size up for his family jutsus. Sure Asuma-san, Hinata murmured as she went back into her shell a bit now that there are new people around. For while Naruto and Kurenai have been helping her confidence, she still had trouble seeing as they only started a little while ago. Course he still heard her, and they all ended up sitting around the table that was thankfully large enough to fit them all, thankfully. So, what were you girls up to before we showed up? Asuma asks, trying to start up a conversation within the group almost as soon as he put their order in. Nothing much, just about things like training and what weapons a jutsu work better. Haku told him simply. What about you sensei? I mean I know that we get a meal every now and then after training, but our morning training ended a while ago. Ino asked. Well, to put it simply, these two just got done with training. Well, Choji finished earlier, but he decided to wait for Shikamaru, who as you know takes a while just to become motivated enough. Asuma told her. Though I did plan on making sure you got a treat of maybe some dango or something at our next session, seeing as you were long gone when we were finally finished. He added. Course this made Ino giggle because just like always, without her more brutal tactics to motivate her teammate, it took much more effort to try and get the lazy genius to do something. Sorry sensei, I just wanted to do something today. I promise that I won't do it too often so that I can help you rush our team genius into working. She told him, then smiled. Then you can go try and get your crush to warm up to you sooner. She added, causing her sensei, who began to cough on his recently acquired drink. I have no idea what you are talking about. Asuma told her, though he already knew that thanks to the one day that he wasn't careful from hiding it from his team would gave her all the material she needed to tease him. He was just thankful that she promised not to tell his crush about it, though she gave him the reason of wanting to watch a real-life soap opera, which made him sweat drop a bit. Of course, you don't. Ino responded, rolling her eyes. Course her other teammates just looked at their sensei with a bit of pity at being the target of female teasing. Troublesome woman. Shikamaru then murmured under his breath as he put his head on his arms to try and get some sleep. What was that? Ino asked the boy with a dark aura around her body that the boy seemed to completely ignore. Though in the end Shikamaru ended up getting lucky and was able to avoid whatever she planned to do, seeing as the waiter bringing the order up caught everyone's attention as they began to cook their meal. So, Haku, I heard that your ice bloodline gives you water and wind as your two elements, correct? Asuma asked after beginning to eat some of his portion. Yes Asuma-san, those are the two types of elements mixed to create ice jutsu. Haku told him simply. Well, you do realize that here in Konoha wind users are very few in number. So, I figured that as one of those few and a pretty good one at that, I would offer to help train you in it. He offered only to get a cautious look in return. Why would you be so generous? I see your time as a wandering ninja has taught you to be less trusting. A pretty good life lesson if you ask me. Anyways, while I would like to say it is purely due to me wanting to be generous, I would be lying if I didn't say that it is partially paying back the blonde Gaki for helping out Konohamaru even more than I could. Asuma told her seriously. Anyo, what do you mean Asumu-sensei? All we did was hand him a simple letter that probably wasn't even that long. Hinata asked, even though all the other girls were curious as well, seeing as they knew their boyfriend was out of the village. Well, in that small letter, from what I saw when I got to sneak a look at it, was stuff that pretty much was like what a few others and me told him, but the important part was the fact that all of us besides him missed. That seems so obvious now. What is that? Choji asked, now just as curious, seeing as he knew how the younger kid acted for a while from being around his sensei. Well, Konohamaru has always been a doer. When he sees something, his determination makes him work on it till it ends up going his way. So, an obvious way of letting him relieve his pent-up emotions was to use that to an advantage. Which Naruto did seemingly unknowingly when he gave Konohamaru the chance to learn the bow staff. Bow staff. Wasn't that Hokage-sama's favorite weapon? Shikamaru asks, now curious as well, but only got a quick nod as a response. Then how would bringing the boy back memories help? That is just it. While it brings up memories, they are ones of when Konohamaru say the bow the most. Meaning when the old man was the strongest, showing off his quite amazing skills. So now that Konohamaru has one of his own, I am sure he plans on honoring his grandpa by learning it himself and becoming as good as he possibly can. Hell, I am sure that pretty soon he will be asking for the old man's notes on the subject. Asuma told them with a chuckle. I see, damn, Blondie might be more troublesome than I thought. Shikamaru mumbles, actually surprised that Naruto did such a thing, and began to try and figure out ways to tell if Naruto meant the reaction to be this or not. Oh, that is good then. I am happy that he cares enough of his giggle student to do such a thing. Ino says happily. He is so sweet. She then added, giggling again. Anyways, so now that you know the hidden reason that helped me want to help you, will you accept it? I mean, you never know, it might help more than you think. Asuma asks, ignoring Ino. Yes, I suppose becoming stronger would have its advantages. We will have to meet up later to decide upon times and dates. Haku told him simply, though clearly was still being a bit cautious. Very well. Asuma tells the girl, deciding her partial trust was more than enough for him at the moment. Course soon enough the meal was over and the two groups separated, and soon enough the girls split up again, this time going to do their own thing, though all of them wondered what their boyfriend was doing at the moment. Plus 6 days later, Naruto plus. It was finally Naruto's last day to practice his jutsu that he now had a pretty good hold of. He was now refining it to make sure it was as perfect as possible. Which, if the trees that he was working on were any proof, was giving him some good results. Though what he did not expect was for Shizune to come to see him. Hello Shizune-san, how are you doing today? Naruto asked politely as he drank some water he brought. Pretty good, I just figured that I would come see how you are doing. She told him honestly. Same chat as in anime basically. So I am not going to bother looking it up. Well, I will just have to prove her wrong about Konoha and the title of Hokage. Naruto exclaimed confidently and got back to work now with his determination renewed. Course this just made Shizune smile a bit as she left him to his training. For after all, tomorrow was his big day. Chapter 18. And note, most people already know this part so much that while I think I forgot to add the fact that Orochimaru talked to her, but I don't think it matters. It is nearly time. Tsunade thought sadly, then left her hotel room without looking back at Shizune. She then walked straight towards the field that was determined to be their meeting point, while the thoughts of what she saw and heard over the last few days muddled in her mind. Am I really making the right choice? She questioned, now not sure which choice was best. After all, on one hand she would have her old loved ones back, but on the other hand she would finally make up for a choice that always weighed down on her. Though soon she remembered last night's event and strengthened her resolve as she stuck with her final choice. Last night, flashback. Tsunade was checking all her equipment quietly in her room when Shizune came into the room and seemed to get annoyed just because of what she saw. Is it really that hard to pick between your own village and a murder that killed your sensei and countless others? Shizune asked. That must be it. She saw that I am still not completely sure which choice that I should go for. Tsunade, though, before sighing. Shizune, it is not that simple. You just don't understand what I am going through at the moment. You're right that I don't understand what it is like to lose my lover, but I know what it feels like to lose a family member. Though look at me, I was sad but got over it and didn't wallow in depression. Shizune told her, deciding that now was the time to tell her teacher her true thoughts before she made a mistake. Also in this, I decided Shizune is real to Dan. Don't really know what her true story is, but it doesn't matter. You brat, it might just be that simple for you, but you haven't experienced nearly as much as me. Don't think that just because you have traveled with me for a while that you know everything about my life. Tsunade growled out. I may not know what happened during your time before me, but I do know that the woman I saw while I was around at first seemed strong and proud, but really was just a woman who lived through a long life and was broken by her misery. Shizune told Tsunade even though she hated every moment. Still she stood strong even as Tsunade's rage grew. You dare try to talk down to me. I am the one that helped form what you are, and you dare try to say that I am nothing but a depressed rotting old hag. Tsunade growled at her student, turning her anger at the woman for the first time since they began their traveling. Yes, you did make me the kunoichi I am today, and thanks to that I am strong enough to escape my misery by thinking about what my uncle would have wanted me to do. Now if only you were as strong as you once were to realize the same. Shizune told her sensei before leaving the room yet again and walked to a restaurant to get a warm tea. Sigh, I can't believe I finally told her my thoughts. Now I just hope she can forgive me for hurting her already damaged mind and maybe forgive me one of these days. Shizune mumbled to herself, knowing that what she told Tsunade easily was a cause of destroying her relationship with the only friend she had around for years. Still she ended up returning to said woman's room to sleep on the other bed, seeing as it was far too late to try and get a different room. Flashback end. Just you wait Shizune, I will show you. Tsunade whispered barely loud enough to be heard over the gentle breeze the day brought and kept walking towards the meeting point, now completely determined. Open field. Ah Tsunade, you finally showed up, and what is your answer? Orochimaru asked with his grin always present on his face. Course Tsunade didn't answer and only brought up her hands and began to channel her chakra to them until they visibly glowed. Oh, I am glad you chose right, he added with his grin now even wider and began walking towards her. Course before he could make it all the way there, a kunai landed in the ground between the two of them, causing them both to jump back, with Orochimaru landing next to a rather large rock. Though soon the thrower jumped in as well and was shown to be a young gray-haired boy. Now Tsunade-chan, I was hoping that you were smarter than this. I thought the promise of your family being revived was enough to have you help me, but apparently you don't care enough about them anymore. Orochimaru told her with a small shrug, and was happy to see that his comment seemed to annoy the blonde women in front of him. Luckily Kabuto-kun was here to watch her. That chakra might have actually caused me some pain. He quickly added, then watched as Tsunade's rage boiled over. You bastard, trying to make fun of my loved ones. I will kill you, snake-loving bastard, for that. Tsunade growled out, then charged at Orochimaru, intending to punch him but had to jump back before Kabuto managed to use a chakra scalpel to cut her. Damn brat, move out of the way. Tsunade growled at the boy only for him to smirk. I am sorry Lady Tsunade, but I can't let you harm Orochimaru-sama. Kabuto told her with his glasses gleaming in the light. This just made Tsunade narrow her eyes at the boy. Then I will have to just kill you both, she muttered, then charged at the boy who tried to hit her only for her to doge around his arm and try to punch his stomach into the ground. Only at the last moment Kabuto managed to use a replacement jutsu to have a log take his place and be crushed into pieces as the very ground indented around Tsunade. My, what monstrous strength you have, Kabuto called out with a smirk on his face, only to have to dodge several punches that were thrown at him. Course he tried to hit her with his chakra scalpels in return, but failed each time except for a quick cut that managed to hit her arm, cutting a bit of the muscle without actually damaging the skin. My, your old age must be making you slow down, Lady Tsunade. Kabuto joked, only to widen his eyes slightly in shock when he saw her quickly get through his defense and land a solid blow on his stomach with her other hand. A blow that not only knocked the wind out of him but also sent him flying into the stone that was close to Orochimaru, leaving a semi-deep indent in said rock. He then slid down to the ground as he tried to catch his breath again and quickly swallowed a strange pill before watching as Tsunade's hand glowed green for only a moment to heal the damage he created and look over at him. Don't get cocky, brat, she ordered him, then watched partially surprised as he began to stand back up. Wow, that one blow managed to break several bones and cause severe damage. Lucky for me I have my medical pills, or you might just end my life with a few of those, Kabuto told her, though still seemed confident. Then suddenly, after a quick pause, he launched a few kunai at her and raced after them, hoping to slip through her defenses. In the end he quickly managed to cut a tendon in her left upper leg and also tried to stop her from being able to use her right arm with a quick hit near the shoulder, but was hit yet again, though this time was lucky enough to turn just enough for her to hit the right side of his chest rather than shattering his sternum. Still he yet again was launched far back and hit the ground hard. Damn brat is good but not good enough. Tsunade thought with a smirk as she watched his body launch across the ground till it finally stopped. She then was even happier to watch him try to get up but only twitch random muscles instead. It seems that she somehow infused both medical and electrical chakra into that punch and managed to disrupt my nervous system. Kabuto thought with a small frown, then tried to figure out which muscles he moved by trying to call upon others. Then surprisingly enough he figured it out enough to stand up and run back at Tsunade ready to fight again. Though he was severely slowed down. Still this shocked Tsunade enough that she didn't even realize he was too close before he managed to hit her near her right shoulder, making the entire arm fall limp to her side. Don't lose focus on the fight, Lady Tsunade. Kabuto told her with a twisted smile. In fact, why don't I give you something that I know you will focus on? He added the spun a kunai on his finger for a moment before catching the blade in his other hand and cut his palm deep enough for a good amount of blood to seep out. He then held out his fist and flipped his hand so his palm faced the sky and let the blood seep through his fingers and drip. This gave him his desired effect as Tsunade froze up and looked at his hand with horror clear in her eyes. What is wrong, Tsunade? It is just a little blood. He told her, clearly amused by her fear. Though for Tsunade she was having flashbacks to the horrors of the world she saw in her life, but mainly her mind focused on her loved ones' dead bodies coated in the red liquid. This was more than enough to make her unable to focus on anything in the real world and simply watch as the blood fell from Kabuto's hand onto the blades of grass below. In the town. When Shizune woke up she expected her master to still be glaring at her furious, or even just seeing her guzzling down ridiculous amounts of sake. Though instead she found herself in an empty room, which made her even more worried. For she quickly figured out where her teacher must have gone. This was more than enough to make her launch out of her bed and take a quick moment to become presentable before running out to go find Jiraiya. As soon as she reached his room she pounded upon the door, trying her hardest to wake up whoever was in the room. Though she did not expect to see a tired-looking Naruto in just a pair of ramen-themed boxers. Course she paid no mind to his appearance at the moment and simply was happy she found a member of their group. Naruto, where is Jiraiya-sama? Lady Tsunade has gone to see Orochimaru, we need to go after her quickly. She told him quickly, which was more than enough to wake him from his sleep-muddled phase. What? This is bad, and Ero-sennin never came back from his trip last night. We need to go find him and kill that bastard and bring the old hag back. Naruto told her, knowing that even though he was stronger than a lot of people gave him credit for, he still wouldn't be nearly a match against Orochimaru, seeing as he still didn't stand a chance to beat him unless he used more perverted tactics. Course it was at that moment in Naruto's thoughts where they both saw a tired and weakened looking Toad Sannin come into the room. Jiraiya-sama, what is wrong? Shizune asked, now terrified about their chances. It seems that Tsunade for some reason drugged me with something that is making my chakra go haywire. Jiraiya told her as he leaned about the door frame for support. Course he quickly had Shizune next to him with her hands glowing a pale green, showing that she was doing some kind of a medical jutsu. Well, it seems that the drug's very purpose was just to disrupt your chakra, but while it was a large dose it should be out of your system in the next few hours. She told him sadly, seeing as they needed his full power now. Damn it, the old hag drugged him and now we need to go save her sorry ass. Ero-sennin, do you think you will be able to fight? Naruto asks his teacher, now completely serious. I have no choice. Though the longer we keep this fight from becoming too serious the better off I will be. Jiraiya tells them both, knowing that he needed put his normal behavior aside. Then let's go and get the old hag before something bad happens. Naruto told the two and they all left as fast as they could, meaning that Shizune was forced to help support Jiraiya as they sped up. At the field. Now that Kabuto saw Tsunade's mind wasn't present in the fight at hand, he charged at her, ready to finish her off with the very kunai that he cut himself on. But just before he could stab her, a blue chakra chain flew at him, forcing him to retreat a ways back as it followed until it stopped chasing after him. He then watched as 3 new people joined the fight. Oh, it seems Jiraiya-kun, Shizune-chan, and Naruto-kun have come to join our fight. Orochimaru told himself, chuckling a bit. Which only increased as he saw Jiraiya being helped by Shizune. And it looks like Tsunade-chan had big plans for you before she changed them, Sacrifice-kun. He added, then saw Jiraiya look confused for a minute, then horrified, and glanced over at his terrified teammate. After everything we have done, she was still planning to use me. Just how desperate have you become, Tsunade? Jiraiya, though disappointed before looking back to his opponent. Course while he was doing this, Naruto just ignored his feeling over the new discovery and turned to the very women in question. Is this really all you have, you old hag? All that power you claimed to have and you were stopped by just a few drops of blood. How sad can you get? Wake up, old women, and watch as I show you how someone with the will of fire still running through their veins handles enemies. Naruto told her, then looked back to their opponents, not checking to see Tsunade's reaction. Tsunade's mental plane. Dan, Naoki, why did you have to leave? Tsunade, though, in her misery, picturing them both standing before her in a black zone. Is this really all you have? Naoki's told her in Naruto's voice, confusing the traumatized women, which only increased when she saw a spectral form of Naruto as well, though he was now half fused together with Naoki. All that power, and stopped by a few drops of blood. Sad, wake up. She heard Naruto's voice tell her, making her get mad, realizing that he was saying held some truth but also made her mad. Watch as I show you how someone with the will of fire still running in their veins handles enemies. The voice finished, but this time it was a mixture of both Naruto's and Naoki's. Will of fire, he truly acts just like you, Naoki, and just like you is trying to show me up. I am a Sannin of Konoha. Weakness like this is pathetic. It shall not be accepted anymore. Tsunade's mental representation thought to herself, and her willpower showed in her eyes. Real world. Now Jiraiya-kun, now that you are here, let's pick this fight up a bit. Orochimaru told him with a smile, then called Kabuto over to himself, who knew exactly what his master wanted. For he quickly brought up Orochimaru's sleeve, showing an interact seal that he quickly applied some of his own blood to. As soon as he did this, Orochimaru slammed his hand down to the ground and called out, summoning jutsu, causing a large cloud of smoke to appear. Orochimaru, how dare you summon me? Manda called out, looking at each human as if the very sight disgusted him. Lord Manda, we require you help fighting these ninja. Kabuto told the snake, making sure to sound as respectful as possible. You call me out just to fight another one of your pathetic fights, fine, but I expect 100 sacrifices after this fight. Manda ordered Orochimaru. It will be done. Orochimaru told his summon calmly, not horrified in the slightest about having to give him 100 human lives later on. Damn, the snake is here. Naruto, I need Gamabunta. Jiraiya told Naruto, who quickly went through the seals for his own summoning jutsu, and soon the giant pale red toad appeared. Again Gaki, and isn't that Manda? Great, how is it you always bring me into the worst positions? Gamabunta complained, seeing as he still doesn't like Naruto that much yet. Gamabunta, I need your help fighting against Manda and Orochimaru. Jiraiya told the toad, getting him to focus on the fight. Jiraiya, ah, you are fighting them again, I see. Well, I guess the missus has been bugging me for a new snake skin purse. Gamabunta told his clan's sage, agreeing to fight. Though what they didn't expect was a large white and blue slug appearing in a cloud of smoke as well. Katsuyu. Well, looks like the group's all here. Gambunta told the female slug, while the others were shocked as they looked up at the summoner. Katsuyu, let's rejoin this fight. Tsunade told her summon confidently. Hi Tsunade-sama, Katsuyu said, and then all three of the Sannins were staring at each other while Kabuto, Naruto, and Shizune were on the ground fighting. Naruto, are you okay to fight after summoning Gambunta-sama? Shizune asked, worried, seeing as she knows how small the reserves were for younger ninja. Yes Shizune-san, I am fine. Thanks to an event at birth, I have more than enough chakra to continue to fight with. Naruto told her with a kind smile, but still avoiding revealing his problem. Course she didn't question this and simply nodded and turned to Kabuto, who was standing a few feet in front of them, pushing up his glasses with his smile always present. Ah, Naruto-kun, nice of you to join us. Kabuto kindly told the blonde, who just growled at him. Though before he could do anything, Shizune was already running straight at Kabuto while pulling back her sleeve, showing a strange contraption. Though it was found to be a needle launcher soon after, seeing as after she got a bit closer to Kabuto she shot the needles at him. Sadly, though he was able to dodge the needles by moving back a bit just in time. He then ran at Shizune, who still had her hands up after shooting her needles, intent on hitting her, until he dogged to the left of a chain, trying to pierce through his chest. Now Naruto, how do you expect to win if you keep doing the same thing over again? Kabuto asked the blonde he saw still at his original position, but he fell back as fast as he could as soon as he felt the ground under him crumble and only had his forehead get slightly cut due to being the last thing he was able to move out of the way, seeing as he ended up looking down. Though thanks to looking down he saw that Naruto was under him and launched a blast of wind at him. Course Kabuto quickly retaliated by using his chakra scalpel to hit the hidden Naruto's head, which made the body poof into smoke rather than fall down back into the hole. Not expecting this, Kabuto was momentarily surprised, which led him to being hit by several needles in the chest thanks to Shizune and a hit to the gut thanks to the chains he earlier dogged. It seems that these two are both better fighters than we thought they would be. Kabuto thought with a small frown before feeling a jolt of pain in his chest, making him look at the needles still there that clearly had a thick coating of a rather thick solution. Damn poison, my pills should be able to help me, but I can still only take 3 of them before the effects become too dangerous for their use. TCH, this fight is going to be much more annoying than I thought. Unless, Kabuto thought, making a quick plan before beginning to retreat at a rather quick pace. Naruto, he is running from us. I will fight him close range with my medical knowledge while you run support with your chains. Shizune quickly told the blonde, who nodded his head knowing that he would be at a disadvantage in close range, and some 2 blue chains that followed after the women who was running after Kabuto until he finally stopped. Though they didn't realize what his actual plan was when he was retreating. Excellent, so there is a limit those chains can go before he has to move closer to get me back in range. Kabuto thought while his smile grew even larger. After all, even he knew that he had to make this battle end due to skill rather than making them run out of chakra before a finishing blow as he is used to doing. For trying to wait until a Jinchuriki is out of chakra is almost impossible without at least cage level reserves. So, instead of running after realizing this, he charged at Shizune and began to fight with both hands glowing as the chakra scalpel jutsu was in use, though Shizune was doing the same. Soon enough after this, both of them began to try their hardest to break through each other's defenses while Naruto's chains tried various methods to provide support for Shiun and to attack Kabuto. In the end this worked enough and Kabuto was slowly being pushed back as he was trying to block the combined might until finally the poison got to him enough that he slipped up and was launched back by a chain that had a kunai-like blade at the end piercing through his abdomen, but somehow managing only to nick his stomach. After this though, Kabuto quickly ate one of his pills and felt a good portion of his chakra be used up as it forced his body to heal a fatal wound and fight off the poison. It was at this moment that he knew he had to finish his plan soon before they both managed to eventually kill him. He then prepared to do just that as Shizune again went for close combat, and yet again Kabuto was slowly being pushed back. Though this time before Naruto managed to get a lucky shot again, he unexpectedly jumped back away from the fight. This surprise didn't faze the experienced Shizune though, as she ran right back to face him again, but this time was surprised by the fact that Kabuto's skill was drastically increased, and due to this was hit 2 times by her shoulders, making both arms go limp. She then watched in fear as the boy she thought she was about to kill charged at her, ready to end her life, knowing that he was out of Naruto's range, only to be shocked as 2 chains wrapped around his chest stopped his charge. "How? I made sure I was still out of your limit," Kabuto asked in shock. "Hey, I figured someone might use that against me, so I made sure to actually stop my chains a few feet short of my limit to catch those shinobi who would try to use it against me. Now, get over here," Naruto told Kabuto with a vicious smirk on his face as he dragged Kabuto close to him and then watched as another Naruto began to form a spinning ball of chakra and then walked in front of the other and waited for Kabuto to come to him. "Man, I am glad I created and hid those clones earlier just in case. Now one is helping me as I get to win this fight and bet at the same time," Naruto thought with a smile, then slammed the ball of chakra into Kabuto's chest while calling out Rasengan. Kabuto then was broken from the chains as he spun at a fast pace and was slammed into a rock near where Manda was. A stone that then was about half destroyed as his body impacted onto it. This of course made Naruto smirk and was about to cheer about his victory before a sudden jolt of pain stopped him dead in his tracks and fall to the ground with shock clearly present on his face. "Naruto-san!" Shizune quickly screamed out in shock and ran to the boy that she then tried to figure out a way to help right after she managed to heal enough of the damage in her arms to be able to move them again. Kabuto in the rubble of the stone equals. Massive internal bleeding along with several vitals being damaged with severe damage to several large muscle groups. Man, what a terrifying attack. Kabuto thought, slightly impressed before bringing shaky hand up to his mouth and managing to swallow his last medical pill that used his chakra to heal a lot of the damage. He then stood up and planned on finishing his fight until he suddenly had a coughing fit and looked down to see that he now had fresh blood in his hand. Truly a horrifying attack if it brought me near death and was even able to damage me enough that the pill's ingredients wore off before it could finish healing me. Now I am still in critical condition and barely have any chakra. Kabuto thought, annoyed as he ran a diagnostic jutsu on himself. Well, looks like I have done as much as I can to help with this fight, Lord Orochimaru-sama, but at least I was able to end the Jinchuriki's life. Kabuto thought with a sick smile as he watched Shizune flip Naruto over and run her own diagnostic jutsu on him. Naruto, Shizune. Damn it, he managed to nick Naruto's aorta, which while only being a small wound is causing him to quickly bleed to death. I don't know what to do to help stop this, but I can't let you die. Shizune thought, determined as she tried her best to heal Naruto's fatal wound, even though she knew that with her skills it would be an almost impossible feat. Come on, Naruto, live. Shizune ordered the blonde as she continued her work, trying to keep the blonde who she had begun to enjoy the company of die in front of her. Though no matter what she tried, she felt as his heartbeat slowly became weaker and weaker as each second passed. Chapter 19. Jiraiya, Tsunade, Orochimaru. Oh. Jiraiya-kun, what would your precious village do if they found out that you needed a child to help you summon your help? Orochimaru commented with a smirk. Shut up, Orochimaru, and just prepare to be punished for your crimes. Jiraiya told the snake summoner, not in the mood to talk. Course, while they were having their brief conversation, Tsunade seemed to get distracted by something before refocusing on the fight. Tsunade, are you ready? Jiraiya asks, making sure she wasn't falling back into her phobia. Yes, Jiraiya, now just shut up and let's skin this snake. Tsunade growled out while Orochimaru simply smiled at the two of them. Course, soon after this the real battle finally started, with Gamabunta starting it off by trying to simply cut Manda into two pieces, but his large sword was easily dogged by the snake that had to soon slither away to avoid a few shots of acid being shot at him by Katsuyu. Though he quickly came right back at the two by swiping his tail at the two like a whip, only to have it blocked by Gamabunta with just his sword that cut into the tail even through the scales. Sadly, though Manda still got the upper hand and was able to angle his tail just enough for him to also hit the toad's wrist as well, making his grip weak enough to be broken without his tail coming completely off. Ah, damn, snake is just as annoying as I remembered. Jiraiya. Gamabunta called out, knowing that his old fighting partner would understand, and they both began to prepare for one of their combination jutsus. Fire release. Flame bullet, toad oil bullet. Jiraiya and Gamabunta call out at the same time, making their attacks mix together into a massive fireball about the size of Gamabunta fly at Manda at a fast pace. So, soon enough everything around where the snake used to be was in a massive fire until it eventually died out, showing a layer of snakeskin that was completely charred but no other remains. Damn, we missed. Jiraiya complained, though partially expecting, but now was wondering where the massive snake got to. Course, what he didn't see was the fact that the charred remains of the sledded snake's skin was covering up a hole that Manda quickly dug. Though Jiraiya was soon alerted to his presence when he launched out of the ground, clearly attempting to bite into Gamabunta. This will be the only "and" in a paragraph, just laughing at the fact that I said, taking a bite out of him. When it's a snake, they don't do that and can't do that. Thankfully this didn't happen due to Tsunade somehow managing to pick up Gamabunta's lost blade and stabbed it straight through Manda's mouth, making the snake's head lie flat on the ground due to the added weight. Gah, damn Nigan, how dare you. Now I am going to have to wait until this heals to be able to eat my sacrifices. Manda complained while Tsunade stood with a smug smirk on top of the blade, completely ignoring its complaints. Course, Orochimaru now decided to get involved and tried to tie up Tsunade by wrapping his greatly enlarged tongue around her to keep her from fighting. Though he did not expect her to use her inhuman strength to resist his tongue's grip enough to grab it and pull him towards her. In fact, he was so surprised that he didn't even have the chance to try and think of how to escape before he was up close to her and was hit hard in the face, forcing him to go flying down into the forest, breaking through a few trees while his still elongated tongue slowly retreated back into him without him focusing his chakra into it. Damn it, this is not going well. Manda is more than likely going to get annoyed enough to just leave and heal, and without my hands I don't stand too much chance against these two, unless, Orochimaru began thinking, beginning to form a plan until he looked over to where Kabuto was getting defeated as well. TCH, I guess we will have to retreat for now. Orochimaru thinks, annoyed, before quickly jumping more into the trees and quickly speed away from the area, not even bothering to watch as his summon disappeared with a last mention of his sacrifices or at his near-dead minion. Though Kabuto eventually noticed his master's retreating chakra and followed after it as quickly as he could with his massive amount of injuries. Meanwhile, his two teammates watched this, and Jiraiya quickly thanked Gamabunta for his help before watching as the toad returned to his summon realm course. Tsunade was about to do the same until a smaller slug came up to her with Shizune and a still out cold Naruto. Shizune, what happened? Tsunade asked, rushing over to the younger woman who was still trying to heal Naruto. Naruto-san hit Kabuto with a completed Rasengan, but when he did, Kabuto managed to use a chakra scalpel to nick Naruto's aorta, causing massive internal bleeding. I have been trying to heal him up as much as I can, but right now, I am only able to reduce the rate he is bleeding out, but even with me doing this he won't survive another hour without it being fixed. Shizune told her master with sweat dripping down her face from the amount of chakra she needed to exert to keep her chakra dense enough in Naruto that it blocks at least some of the blood from escaping, which was only made harder due to the amount of energy she used in the fight, already exhausted a good amount of her chakra. Damn it, no, this brat can't die. He reminds me too much of Nawaki. No, I refuse to let him die. I will make sure he lives on. I can't let yet another person who managed to get close to me die. Tsunade thought to herself and quickly went over to the two of them and began her own medical scan on Naruto to see how to help. Now let's see, I can sense Shizune's block on his damaged aorta, but thankfully other than that he doesn't have any major injuries that need to be taken care of. Now to heal the aorta is next to impossible, both Shizune and me know that, but thankfully Jiraiya mentioned that he is that child from the village. Now we have at least have a small chance to heal him, seeing as the Kyuubi's chakra is already trying to slowly heal the puncture, and the fact that he is an Uzumaki is also helping with their natural slight amount of regeneration, is also slowly closing the wound. Now in theory we just need to keep him from bleeding until they manage to close the wound, but at this rate he will lose too much blood before that happens, and we don't have any blood bags here to help out. Tsunade thought. Then the beginning of a plan came to her mind. Jiraiya, force him to swallow 2 blood pills right now. Tsunade ordered the old man beside her, who did so without hesitation. She also noticed that Katsuyu was still around and was transferring over as much chakra as Shizune could handle to help out. Good. Now Jiraiya grabbed the scroll labeled medical from my kunai pouch and unsealed the part labeled body water. She ordered the man, who yet again followed orders, and even he knew enough to be serious at the moment and didn't even try to act perverted. Good. Now unseal the seal labeled pans, and pour about a gallon of this water into several of the pans, then leave them be until I need them. But do not let anything come into these if at all possible. She told him, then began to start her plan, which in this case was her trying to mix her own chakra with the chakra that Naruto's own body was trying to use to heal itself. For she managed to notice that while it was indeed healing him, it was not actually medical chakra doing it. Instead, the Uzumaki's abnormal healing was just their own chakra being forced into each cell and giving them enough energy to reactivate the small amount of remnants of the stem cells they started as. This small amount of DNA then makes the cell regrow to be yet another matching cell of the original that then was divided apart to separate to let the new cell take the place of a destroyed one. Though what she was hoping to do was to force this process to speed up by making the chakra actually become the chakra that is supposed to normally be able to heal the human body. Course, it would be even better if all of the chakra was synced to do this, but the Biju's chakra was too potent and vile to even make that possible. So, she began to try to sync with Naruto's chakra enough to do just that, but immediately realized that this was a daunting task when she realized that the chakra just being used for this was easily the amount and experience genin normally had in their entire body. Damn, of course the very genes that are making this possible are also making it much harder thanks to their ridiculous amount of chakra available to just throw at any task. Tsunade thought, annoyed, but still wasn't known as the best medic for nothing, and slowly managed to sink about halfway with the chakra before it started to completely try and reject her from getting any further. Thankfully this seemed to be enough, seeing as Naruto's regeneration rate was easily 3 or 4 times faster than it was before, which was enough to heal the wound before too much needed blood was lost, and the blood pills that he took were also helping him create more blood cells just to be sure. So, she happily watched as the damage was completely healed and relaxed for a moment as both of the chakras inside of Naruto's body faded away until they were undetectable again. Course at this point Shizune fell back panting heavily as her chakra exhaustion reached the highest point she could risk before possibly passing out. Course she quickly thanked the summon that made her last event that long before, watching as the slug disappeared in a cloud of smoke. She then puts a chakra pill into her mouth and ate it inside in relaxation as the chakra in her body raised just a bit. She then looked over at her master. Well, you managed to heal the wound, but now he has a lot of blood in his body cavity. Shizune told her master. The watched worried as she saw the older woman visibly shake a bit. Why yes, and that means that we need to remove the bee blood. Tsunade answers back with her phobia slightly coming back before she yet again forced herself to get over it and prepared to continue to heal Naruto. Jiraiya, bring those tubs of water close to me. Then both of you have to hold the brat because I can't have his body move at all for this next part. Tsunade told them and they both quickly did as instructed, with Jiraiya holding his torso and Shizune getting his legs. Tsunade then created 2 shadow clones that nodded to her and moved to stand around the tubs. Now let's begin. Tsunade mumbled, then took a deep breath to try and relax her nerves before starting the process. First, she placed a hand laced with medical chakra into the first tub that then made the water bubble up around her hand. She then brought it from the container and onto Naruto's chest and pushed down slowly, which forced the water to go through his skin into his abdominal cavity, where she let it stay for a moment before pulling the water back out of his body, with it now clearly having some blood in it. She then put it back in the tub that was soon taken away by a clone and replaced with a fresh one by the other one. She then relaxed a small bit, realizing she could actually handle this, and due to the fact that the blonde didn't subconsciously struggle too much. She then did this several more times until she no longer got blood in the water, then finally completely relaxed. We did it, he is in the clear now. Just a good night's rest and he will be fine, though thinking about it we all need it. Tsunade told them, causing them both to be happier and silently agree as they all walked back into town and back to the hotel for what would be their last night in the town. Plus later that day Naruto was now put on a soft bed of his in Jiraiya's room, recovering from his surgery, with Shizune watching over him. Meanwhile Jiraiya and Tsunade were preparing everything for their trip back to Konoha and trying to find a way to deal with all of the problems Tsunade has built up over the years. Course the fact that they were finally going back, and just the simple fact that Tsunade's will of fire was back was more than enough to keep a smile on Shizune's face as she watched the blonde sleep. Thank you Naruto-kun, you may not know it, but you ended up saving my master from herself and also must help out the village far more than you could ever imagine. It seems your confidence is contagious. I wonder just how many people you will help just with your mere presence. Shizune quietly told the blonde, who of course was still peacefully sleeping on the bed. Though if you looked close enough you would notice a small green crystal necklace around his neck moving with each breath the blonde took. Jiraiya, Tsunade, in town . Okay, so now that the brat healing up and I finally have my stuff packed up, we can go drinking and celebrate. Tsunade tells her companion happily until he grabs her shoulder. Not just yet. Jiraiya tells the woman, who quickly got confused. While I am all for letting a woman get boozed up, we still need to deal with the debt collectors around here that will surely try and bug us when we leave. Jiraiya tells her, what? I don't have the money for that. I guess I will just have to use my jutsu to change my age for a bit again. Tsunade tells him, trying to wave off her debt as if it wasn't a problem. Sigh, just this once I will bail you out, but you owe me a favor later on. Jiraiya tells her, already preparing himself to see what must be a large sum of debt. Really, you would do that for me? Well, thanks then Jiraiya. Tsunade tells him, then turns around with him to go pay for her debt instead of booze. Don't mention it, apparently that is all you think I am good for. Jiraiya tells her, but quietly mumbles the last part to himself, remembering how she did plan on using him as a sacrifice. Course what he didn't notice was the fact that Tsunade actually did hear his mumbling and finished slightly at it. Way to go Tsunade. First time meeting the one of the few people that know the real me in this world and ruin your friendship. She thinks sadly to herself but makes sure her face doesn't show it as they continued to walk to their destination. Hotel room a bit later. Lady Tsunade and Jiraiya-sama should be done by now. I wonder what is taking them so long. Shizune mentally questions until she heard a knock at the door and instead went to go open it. Course she did not expect to be put into a genjutsu soon after the door was opened up. Good job Itachi, now that the woman is taken care of, we can easily collect the brat. Kisame tells his partner with a smirk on his face that only grew larger when he noticed that Naruto was still out cold. Let's just get out of here with our target. It wouldn't be wise to try and fight two of the Sannin at the moment. Itachi naturally told him as they walked towards the blonde. A fight would be a nice way to make this more interesting though. Kisame mutters and releases a small amount of Ki into the air just thinking about it. Though he quickly stopped producing it and instead carelessly put Naruto on his shoulder and followed the Uchiha as they began their trip back to their base. Though what they didn't realize was that Shizune actually finally managed to get out of the genjutsu thanks to it simply being a weaker one and pretended to be under it still as she walked to the closest window. Now of course neither paid any mind on her and just focused on the task on hand, so while they managed to get Naruto, she sent a signal out for help seeing as she couldn't possibly beat two S-class ninja. Still, when she saw them turn around, produced her chakra scalpels ready to fight. You will not be taking Naruto-san. She told them, trying to act confident even though she knew that it would be a hopeless fight. But it was one that she needed to do in order to hopefully give Jiraiya and Tsunade a chance to come and help. Hey, looks like you went too easy on the girl. Now I guess I will get to have some fun. Kisame tells his partner with a smirk, then grabs his sword ready to fight. Just don't take too long or make a lot of noise. We don't want to have to deal with the Sannin right now. Itachi calmly told him, then took Naruto and went a ways away from his aquatic friend, leaving the two of them in a standoff. Then all of a sudden Kisame swung his sword straight down at Shizune, who quickly dodged it. She then was forced to dodge more as Kisame's swings became faster and faster, showing that he was playing with her. Still, she tried to at least hit him a few times in the fight, but any chakra that came close to him seemed to drain off into his sword for a reason she could not figure out. Hey, any chakra you try and use on me will just feed Samahata. Kisame explained, laughing at her attempts to hurt him. So, instead of freaking out, Shizune quickly moved back a bit and pulled up her sleeve to use her poison needle launcher and quickly released them all at Kisame, who simply blocked them all by moving Samahata in front of him. With that, she quickly grabbed two scalpels to fight with, seeing as she didn't keep a lot of kunai with her at all times. Lady Tsunade, Jiraiya-sama, please hurry. Shizune thought as she struggled to block the massive sword and was just hoping that her scalpels held up long enough. For even with them being made out of chakra metal, it still had to begin cracking eventually against the massive wrapped sword. Eventually she began to become physically exhausted and tried to think of a jutsu that would possibly work on the two of them, even with Kisame's Samahata. Though the first thing that came to mind was her poison mist, but a quick glance at Naruto showed that this couldn't be an option. Damn, what does that leave? She thinks, trying to create a quick plan. Though before she could think of a plan, Kisame charged at her holding his sword as if he was preparing to cut her in half, but before he could reach her, a large toad appeared and blocked the blade with its own katanas. So, Shizune looks at the toad for a second in shock before looking behind her and smiling at who she saw. Phew, we made it to them just in time. Jiraiya mumbles out, then glares at the duo. Itachi, Kisame, so you two are a member of that group. I did not expect you to start collecting the biju so soon. But that is something to worry about later, seeing as right now I will make sure you aren't taking Naruto away with you. Jiraiya tells them, completely serious. Then all of a sudden, Tsunade rushes from being a bit behind him and tries to punch Kisame in the gut. Kasama saw this and managed to bring Samahata to take the brunt of the attack, but still was launched backwards and out of the hotel via a hole his body still made. With this, Itachi quickly looks over to watch Tsunade, seeing as she is the closest threat, but even with his Sharingan activated he couldn't react fast enough to the long tongue that came from behind him through the window and managed to wrap around Naruto. The boy was then pulled away from Itachi's hold and out the window to the toad that the tongue belonged to, and it quickly hopped away, keeping the unconscious boy from the battle. TCH, our target is gone and now we have both of Konoha's remaining Sannin here ready to fight. Itachi thought in mild annoyance but didn't let it show on his face and simply watched as his partner jumped back into the room a few seconds later. Phew, you really can pack a punch, can't you? Kisame compliments, then get ready for getting right back into the battle with a grin plastered on his face. Kisame, our target is no longer here, so we have no need to fight here, we are leaving for now. Itachi told his companion, who seemed unhappy but didn't respond but simply vanished from the area moments after Itachi did in a small blur of speed. Which the group of Konoha ninjas simply just watched and didn't relax until they were sure they were gone. Well, thankfully we were able to stop that. Now I am going to go get Naruto and we will head out, seeing as they now know where we are. Jiraiya tells them, then jumps out the window to catch up to his summon. Good job, Shizune, you protected the brat from those two. Tsunade told her apprentice simply, but really was happy that her student could manage to hold off two S-rank ninja even if they were going easy on her. Thank you, Lady Tsunade, Shizune simply told her with a small bow, knowing the hidden compliment in Tsunade's almost uncaring way, and picked up her pig from his hiding spot during the whole fight. So, soon after Jiraiya came back with Naruto resting on his back, they went back to the hotel's lobby and paid for the damages their fight caused before quickly getting on the road to head back to Konoha after a mission that was a lot harder than anyone could have thought. Hours later on the trip to Konoha. Finally, after a long time of resting for someone who had a ridiculously fast regeneration, Naruto began to wake up and slowly his groggy mind realized he was on Jiraiya's back. Huh. Eros Sennin, where are we? Naruto asked, thinking they were still dealing with their fight against Orochimaru, then getting confused about the change of scenery. Well, brat, first don't call me that. Second, after your fight with Orochimaru's apprentice you got injured by him and were put into a near-death state. In fact, if it wasn't for these two lovely ladies beside me you would have died in that field. Jiraiya tells him, then waited a moment for him to absorb the information. Course, this just means that I have a lot more to teach you so you can beat stronger opponents when you need to. He added after a few moments passed. And you need to be as strong as possible to handle the S-class ninja that are already hunting you for the Kyuubi. He also added, but didn't have the heart to tell the kid and terrify him, seeing as he was having so much trouble with an opponent that was probably around high B to low A rank. Yes, Jiraiya, I guess I really do have a lot to learn still then. But I won't give up until I am able to handle any threat. After all, I made a promise to my loved ones that I will stay alive and nearly broke it. So, when will we start? Naruto asks, deciding that now wasn't the time to act like his normal childish self and actually be serious, seeing as he was talking about his own future as a shinobi. Course, he then realized that he had a cord around his neck and looked down at the necklace that was put on. Hey, this is, he added, slightly shocked. Yay, brat, it is my necklace. I heard that you made a complete Rasengan on Orochimaru's brat, and well, a bet is a bet. She told Naruto, then watched as his once serious face turned into one of joy, that of his victory. Che, damn, brat acts even younger than he actually is, just make sure you can make their dream come true. Tsunade thinks and then pictures her two loved ones walking with Naruto just ahead of them. For just this one last time she decided she would trust someone to both break the curse her necklace gave and also bring the honor that both of the two old wearers justice by making it to his dreams. Hey, you can celebrate your victory in the village. Now come on, now that you are awake, we can go a bit faster. After all, the faster we get there the faster we get to train. But not too fast, seeing as we still need to make sure you are completely healed. He quickly added when he noticed the two medics glaring at him. And with that they all left at a pace that was about half Naruto's speed, seeing as if he went any faster Tsunade and Shizune told him to slow down. So, he decided to appease two of the only few medics that actually wanted to help him rather than hurt him. Later on, at Konoha's gates. Finally, after the long travel time the group finally made it back to the village, where the guards quickly checked to make sure that they were who they said before letting them enter the village. It was there they were greeted by a few people at first, but after word spread around the village soon a large crowd of people were out cheering for the two people that were one of the largest living symbols of the village's power. Course, Naruto was in the front of the group walking to the council meeting room, clearly surprised by the fact that the people were cheering all around him rather than glaring down at him. Course, his thoughts didn't last long before a blur sped at him and talked him to the ground in a bear hug. A hug that Naruto enjoyed when he saw familiar blue hair. Hello, Hinata. Naruto tells her simply only for her to seem to try and hold him closer. When Jiraiya-sama came to get you in such a short notice, I knew the mission was going to be important and more than likely dangerous. I am so glad you came back okay. She told him with a smile on her face. Wow Naruto, I didn't know you and one of your lovers were so close already. Jiraiya tells Naruto with a lecherous grin. Though when she heard this, Hinata then realized how many people were still around and gave a quiet, eep, and jump off of Naruto, blushing up a storm before finally not being able to calm down enough and fainting, with Naruto just barely being able to catch her before she fell on the ground. Thanks so much Aro Tem. Naruto told his sensei with a glare at the man who now looked a bit sheepish. Course, seeing as they needed to make it to the council room, they had to keep walking to the council room, though now Naruto was carrying an out-cold Hinata in his arms. Though to all of the adults with him they could clearly see that Naruto was overjoyed that someone cared enough about him to actually do something out of their comfort zone just for him like that. Council room. After finally making it to the Hokage Tower, the group quickly went straight into the council room and saw that everyone was prepared for a meeting already. Okay, now that Jiraiya-sama and Tsunade-sama are here, we can finally begin, Inoichi says to the group, still showing the two experienced ninja respect. Yes, but first I would like to know why my daughter is in the hands of Naruto. Hiashi asks while releasing his ki towards Naruto. Well, he had to help the girl that kindly greeted him home after such an important mission. Course, after she realized what she did, the excitement seemed to be too much for her, so she fainted. Now we couldn't just leave an out-cold girl on the streets, now could we? Or do you want your daughter to be in possible danger? Tsunade asks, already protecting the blonde a bit due to him now going for completing her loved one's dreams. Course, she also enjoyed the small frown that appeared on Hiyashi's face for just a moment before going neutral again. Also, Hyuga-san, if you remember correctly, all of the council has been told of Naruto's heritage, so while in a meeting he should be called upon. Jiraiya hinted to the man, respectfully using his last name only to give another hint what he wanted. After all, he saw the brief sign of hate in the man's eye before he spat out his apprentice's name. Quote ellipsis. My apologies Uzumaki-san. Hiyashi mutters out, though seems forced. Course, after that the meeting went by rather smoothly, with Tsunade becoming the Hokage, and finally the meeting ended. Course, due to this, Hiyashi took the still sleeping girl back to her home and out of the blonde's hands. Which ended up leaving Naruto nothing left to do except go home and enjoy a good night's rest. Naruto's apartment. Phew, finally home for a good night's rest. Naruto muttered happily, intent on quickly getting ready to sleep and then doing so. Course, that was changed when yet again he had someone rush at him, though this time with only enough force to reach him and wrap their arms around him. Welcome home Naruto-sama, it is good to see you back. Sorry I did not say so earlier, but work at the hospital made it impossible. Haku explained. Course, Naruto just shrugged off the apology. Hey, it is nice to see you girls again as well, seeing as I missed you all. Though if this is the treatment I get after coming back, I might have to go on more missions. Naruto told her with a small chuckle, seeing as she was still clinging onto him. Well Naruto-sama, if you want me to stay closer to you, all you needed to do was ask. Haku told the blonde, and then seemed to try and fuse her body to his with how tightly she clung to him, which made the blonde blush a bit, seeing as he could easily feel her assets being pushed close to him. Though he managed to calm himself a bit by trying to get his mind to other things and coughing ever so slightly to get her attention back from her fusion mission. Well, you don't need to. Besides, right now all I want to do is sleep. Naruto told her simply. Very well, master. She told him simply and backed up just enough to let him walk, but when he went to his room, she followed right after him and only talked when he gave her a questioning glance. You said to stay close if I wanted to, and I want to. She told him simply, and he just sighed, knowing that it would take a long conversation to tell her what he actually meant. So, he just accepted it and quickly went to the bathroom to change into his night clothes and laid down on his bed, with Haku following soon after due to already being in her normal nightgown. Though he blushed this time when he felt her scoot close to him and put her head on his chest to go to sleep, but eventually, he just smiled and fell asleep, enjoying the extra warmth as well. Chapter 20. In the early morning, Naruto woke up due to a ray of sun landing on his face and tried to get up. Though he soon found he couldn't, seeing as Haku still had her head on his chest and seemed to have snuggled up even closer to him, seeing as she even had entangled their legs sometime over the night. So, instead of doing as he planned, he just lifted his head just enough to get a better look at his sleeping girlfriend and smiled at how beautiful she looked as she slept. For while her hair was strewn about in random directions, it seemed to glow in the small amount of sunlight permeating the room. Haku also seemed to have a small smile on her face as she took slow steady breaths. Now this just made Naruto smile seeing her at peace, so he just put his head back down and waited for her to wake up rather than ruin the moment. Though eventually he subconsciously ran his fingers gently through her silky hair a bit later as he watched her peacefully sleep. A few moments later, said girl's body began to move a bit, showing that she was getting closer to waking up. Though for her the first thing she noticed was that she had a firm while comfortable pillow to lay on that tried bringing her back to sleep more. Though she soon realized someone was running their hands through her hair and quickly opened her eyes before she remembered it was Naruto and smiled at her boyfriend when she saw him up. "Good morning, Naruto-sama. Good morning. Haku-hime, did you sleep well? And please remember that you don't need to call me Sama." Naruto responded with a small chuckle, seeing as he knew that she would most likely ignore him anyways. "Yes, Naruto-sama, you really do make a great pillow. I don't think I ever want to sleep by myself again," Haku told him, then tried snuggling closer to him while said blonde blushed at the thought of having a beautiful girl by his side every night. "Maybe, Haku-chan. Now let's get up and get the day started, shall we?" Naruto asked her, seeing as he honestly wouldn't mind the idea of staying in bed either, but then chuckled as he watched Haku seem to struggle to get the willpower to leave her comfortable position. Though this soon changed to a massive blush when he saw her take the blankets off of them and was able to see through her nightgown even more thanks to the sun making it so he couldn't take his eyes off of her body, which was next to perfect in his eyes. And of course thanks yet again to his hormones running wild, he felt his boxers tighten up and blushed a bit more before trying to move to make the blanket hide it more while also trying to take his eyes off her. Sadly, he didn't notice the fact that Haku did in fact feel eyes upon her soon after she got up and looked down at him and saw the look of a good amount of lust in his eyes. "Good, so he does find my appearance to be nice enough for him. And it actually feels nice to have my loved one look at me like that after all those years of pretending to be a man and having barely any guys even bother to look in my direction. Though he will be the only one I allow to do this, and more if he wants," she thought with a blush, seeing as she was always curious about things females can do and also relationships, seeing as she wasn't able to feel love very much over her life. But now that she had a boyfriend, she could experience all she wants. But she quickly began to blush even more when she noticed just how excited Naruto was until he hit it. Though in the end this just made her smile a bit bigger, knowing that her master is truly pleased with her looks. Also for this story, seeing as it makes sense that she was starved from normal teenage experiences and lusted after them. Also she already is stuck in the master-slave idea, making her even more submissive and willing to please him. "Yes, I will get started with breakfast if you don't have any problems you could need some help with," Haku told the blonde with a bit of lust clear in her eyes, while said blonde blushed dark red after he realized what she meant. No thanks Haku-chan, but breakfast sounds good," Naruto told her and quickly rush over to the bathroom for a cold shower. Course this just made Haku giggle at her master's shyness before heading to get her own day started as well as breakfast. So, soon enough they both sat at their kitchen table peacefully eating their meal, just enjoying the taste of it. Sadly, though soon enough Haku had to go back to the hospital for yet another work day, so she quickly gave Naruto a hug goodbye that he quickly returned and left. After that Naruto put the dishes in the sink to be done later and tried to figure out what he wanted to do today, seeing as Tsunade ordered him to take a few days off before he trained or did anything too physical, just to make sure that he is completely fine after his near-death experience. Course while he was thinking, someone came to his apartment and frantically knocked on the door until he opened it. Okay, I am here. What is the ebisu?" Naruto began, then was confused seeing the older man at his house, seeing as last time he checked the trainer hated him. "Hello Naruto-san, I know we are on the best of terms, but we desperately need your help," Ebisu quickly told him. "My help? For what?" Naruto asked, now interested. "Well, Konohamaru," Ebisu began, but Naruto already ran back into his house to grab his normal equipment and went out the door. "Tell me as we go. If it is Konohamaru, I will gladly help." Naruto told the man, who was stunned for a second before nodding and began running on the rooftops with Naruto following shortly after. Well, the honorable grandson was apparently going up to the Hokage Tower for some reason when he saw a few ninja moving Sarutobi-sama's old items out to be put in storage. He then got angry at them for moving it for some reason, and this got only worse after he found out that Tsunade-sama was already picked to be his replacement. So, he ended up running off from them and locked himself in a storage room and has set up various traps in that room. Now, being his teacher, they quickly found me to try and fix this, but he isn't listening to me. Which is why I'm asking for your help, seeing as he looks up to you. Ebisu told him, though seemed to get annoyed with himself for admitting that Konohamaru had a role model that he didn't find to be acceptable. Okay, just show me where Konohamaru is and I will see what I can do. Naruto told the stuck-up trainer while ignoring the tone of voice he used for the last part. I might not have been there for you when the old man died, but I will help you here with whatever is wrong now. Naruto thought, hoping that he could help the little kid that he grew to like. Hokage Tower. Soon enough, Naruto was standing in front of the room that Konohamaru closed himself in and at first simply tried to open the door to see him but found it locked. So, instead he knocked on the door, hoping he would at least show that he is listening. Go away, I am not coming out. Naruto heard a muffled voice tell him from inside. Konohamaru. It's Naruto, can you just come on and talk to me? No, not even you, boss, I won't let them touch any of Grandpa's stuff. Sigh, Konohamaru, I am just as sad as you that the old man died, but stopping Tsunade from doing her job because of this isn't going to change anything. Now come on, let's just talk this through face to face. Naruto asked the kid, trying to get him to listen at least a little bit. No. Which of course was having no effect, so with no other choice Naruto looked at his options and, in the end, realized that the easiest way of doing this would just to try and comfort Konohamaru, which meant getting through the locked door in between them. So, he tried to simply use a lockpick to get the door open, only to hear a trap door open up above his head. Which made him look up and see that several large metal tubs were falling out of the ceiling. Well, I guess it makes sense that the Hokage Tower's room has traps to prevent people from sneaking about, but really metal tubs. I guess Konohamaru changed the traps to become his own and used whatever he could. This is going to suck then, seeing as I have to get through the room of traps that he surely made just to calm him down. Naruto thought sadly before thanking his reflex to build a small shield above his head to block the buckets. Well, that is one down. Naruto added, and then went back to his plan, only to hear the trap door open again and saw more tubs falling. Damn it, why did I teach him about storage seals? Naruto cursed as he yet again had to put up his shield. He then tried to think of how to open the door without having to deal with too many traps, only to smack his own head at his stupidity. Why didn't I remember I can use my chakra manipulation for more than just attacking and defending sooner? Naruto tried to figure out before making a chakra tendril that quickly went under the door, and after a bit of trying managed to unlock the door. Now after he heard the click, Naruto smiled and opened the door, only for the smile to come off of his face when he had to drop to the floor to dodge a few kunai that flew at him and hit the wall. Well, at least I know he knows how to protect stuff, even if this is a bit of an overkill. Naruto thought with a sweat drop as he looked from the kunai impaled wall to the room that was clearly lined with enough wire traps that the wires were easy to see shining in the light from outside the room. Course he looked around the room as well to try and find the boy, and saw a file cabinet in the corner that was far too small and wide to be real. But of course, he still doesn't know how to hide. Naruto thought, wanting to laugh a bit at the fact that he refuses to change his hiding technique, no matter how many times it failed. Still, he held it down and then frowned at how much of an annoyance it was going to be to get to his friend. Though right before he could start, a familiar teacher showed up in the tower as well. Naruto, what are you doing here? Iruka asked. Oh, hey Iruka-kun, I am just trying to help fix a problem they are having here. Naruto told his old teacher. Ah, I see, good for you. Though have you seen Konohamaru? He is supposed to be in class today and is skipping. Iruka told Naruto, whose eyes widened in shock. How do you do it? What? How do you always know exactly where skipping students are? Naruto asked in complete shock, only to hear his old teacher laugh. Well, that is a secret that us teachers like to keep to ourselves. Iruka told the blonde while clearly enjoying his shocked expression. Anyways, can you just show me where he is so I can get back and help my assistant teach again? Iruka asked after a few moments. Well right now I don't think it is possible to reach him at the moment. Naruto honestly told him. He is in this room that is trapped, isn't he? Ruruka asked only to sigh when Naruto nodded. Why did you decide to teach another kid how to make calling them as annoying as possible? Didn't I have enough trouble in my life dealing with you? Ruruka asked, but you could clearly see the amusement hidden on his face. Well, to be honest, Konohamaru is going through some tough times right now, so could you please just let him get today off, please? Naruto asked his old teacher, who just looked at him seriously for a moment before relenting. Fine, just make sure you two don't make this a regular thing. Ruruka told him the left after Naruto told him his thanks. Now let's begin getting my brat of an apprentice out of here. Naruto then mumbled to himself as he yet again prepared to get through each trap just to talk to the younger kid hiding behind them all. And soon enough he cut each wire and was forced to dodge wave after wave of things flying at him to try and stop him, ranging from kunai to even a few random objects that Konohamaru decided to use as weapons. In the end it took him about an hour to slowly get through each one while making sure he didn't get hit by each one of his traps, seeing as he was the one to teach the kid how to trap a room and knew just what could be hidden behind each one. Though he eventually reached the box that was now visibly shaking, seeing as Konohamaru had no idea who was getting closer to him this whole time or what they would want. Still, Naruto went up to the box and picked it up only to have to drop it moments later when he had to catch Konohamaru's hand that was about ready to hit him directly in the face as the box puffed into smoke. Easy Konohamaru-kun, it's me. Naruto told the kid, who still seemed tense. They are taking everything away that was his boss. Everything, even all the things he kept in that office, and just putting it away to forget about it. Konohamaru told him, clearly upset, and crouched back down as if he was trying to fit into the box that was now gone again. Though this time Naruto crouched down next to him. Is that what you think, bud? That everyone is just going to forget the old man? Naruto asked calmly, only to get a nod in return. Come on Konohamaru, no one is going to forget the old man. He has spent far too many years helping everyone for there to be even a chance of anyone forgetting him. Naruto told him, who was acting like the young child that lost a close loved one that he was. Yes, they are. No one is upset or worrying about it anymore, they just are moving on in their lives like he never even existed. Konohamaru told him in near tears. That's not true, you were one of his most precious parts of this village and you already are training to become just as good as he is, or maybe even better. But that is me, not him. Yes, but you still remind everyone about him, remember that is what you hated when we first met. But you also got to remember that the old man has left a large imprint on our village that can't be erased ever, there is even a huge monument in dedication of it. Naruto told the smaller kid, confusing him. What do you mean? Why don't I just show you? Naruto told him with a smile, then walked out of the room and kept walking when he looked back and saw that Konohamaru's curiosity outweighed his stubbornness at the moment. They then ended up heading to the roof of the very school he was supposed to still be in, where Naruto was standing and simply enjoying the day, waiting for his unofficial apprentice to follow him up. Okay, we are here now, what is this monument that you are talking about? Konohamaru asked, still curious as he looked at the blonde who simply kept looking at the village. Well, you fool, your stubbornness has made you ignore the fact that is towering over our village. The same monument you want to be on yourself. Naruto told him with a small chuckle as the stunned boy looked in the same direction at his grandfather's face. You see, he was one of the few that ever reached the point of being such a great man and ninja that he became the Hokage. He was the ruler of the village who led us to greatness. Now do you see, it is impossible to forget him because his very presence has even permeated our history books. Naruto told him, who just continued to gaze at the monument. You are right, I guess it really is impossible for anyone to forget that. You must think I am so stupid for how I was acting, don't you? Konohamaru asked, still looking at his grandfather's face even as Naruto messed up his hair with one of his hands. No, I don't see you like that. I see someone who saw his whole world changing before he was ready and didn't know how to react to it. Naruto told him with a smile that stayed his face even as Konohamaru pushed his hand off his head and glared at him. Come on, let's go get some food. I'll buy. Naruto then added and began walking down off the roof, with Konohamaru taking one last look before following after him. Though they didn't make it too far from the school before Naruto heard a familiar voice that made him turn around to get yet another girl hugging him. Naruto-kun, why didn't you tell me that you made it back finally? Ino asked after she let go of him. Well, I just got back yesterday and was too tired to do much but sleep, and today I was busy with something else that required my attention. Naruto told her, feeling kind of bad that he didn't even go say hi to her. Man, I feel awful for not telling her now. Come to think of it, I haven't told Ayame yet either, so I need to do that ASAP. Naruto thought sadly. Ah, that is okay then. Hey, how about you two come join us at Choji's family's restaurant so you can tell me all about your mission? Ino asked, wanting to spend time with her boyfriend. I don't know, I mean I don't want to bother you guys. Naruto told her and also her group as they finally caught up to the blonde girl who ran away from them. Nonsense Naruto, I am fine with eating with you and my nephew anytime, and I am sure these two wouldn't mind either. Asuma told him with a friendly smile. Either way I will have to deal with a troublesome blonde. Shikamaru muttered with a shrug. As long as we order enough food for all of us and I get the last pieces. Choji told them. Well then I guess it is settled then. And now we have a place that is decided upon to eat at Konohamaru. Naruto happily told them. Yay, their food sounds good to me. Konohamaru agreed with a small smile as well. Oh, wait, aren't you supposed to be in school? Ino asked the smaller kid, who stayed silent seeing as he didn't want people to know of his tantrum. Well Ino-chan, I asked Iruka if I could keep him out for a day to teach him an important lesson that I wanted him to know. Naruto told her after he saw Konohamaru's expression. Ah, you care so much for kids Naruto. I can't wait till we are old enough to start our own family that you and me can spoil. Ino told him, causing him to blush badly. Ino-chan. Hehe, I was just kidding Naruto-kun, for now. Ino told the flustered blonde but only mumbled the last part. Still in the end they all left and had a good lunch at the restaurant with Choji, Shikamaru, and Asuma sitting on one side of the booth and Konohamaru, Naruto, and Ino sitting on the other. Though for the whole meal Ino loved to try and both embarrass Naruto enough to give him a cute blush or try various things she read about in her romance books. For example, during the meal she had him feed her a bit and for a good part of the meal kept one of her arms holding onto Naruto's arm. Though Naruto didn't mind her attention seeing as he found her attention to be nice even if it would seem to be a bit too much to most other people. But not for him seeing as he was so attention-starved all his life. Though Naruto also made a point to keep watching Konohamaru to see if he was still upset but was happy to see that he seemed to be back to his old self. Still eventually the meal ended and their team had to leave, forcing the two groups to separate after Ino gave Naruto a quick kiss on the cheek. Though soon after said team left, Ebisu showed up yet again to take Konohamaru away for some extra training, so that left Naruto with nothing to do again all by himself. What to do today? I guess seeing as I already spent some time with Ino and need to see Ayame, I will just try and spend some time with all of my girlfriends today. After all, they accepted me even though they had to share, so the least I could do is try and make them all know how much I care for them. Naruto thought with a smile and began to think of a way to do so for each of them until he finally came up with an idea and ran off to try and get it figured out. Hokage Tower. Tsunade was just getting herself situated with the room and was just about done making everything the way she wanted it before Naruto came rushing in. What do you want, brat? She asked the blonde. Well, Ba-chan, I was wondering if you could perhaps get Hakuheim permission to get started with training to become a medical ninja. I mean, the old man was going to do so after a time, but Naruto told her, but left out the part that was depressing for him. Well, I did want to start my old idea back up seeing as I now can, so I guess I can let her be the first one to begin it, but brat. Don't call me Ba-chan. Tsunade growled out and hit Naruto through the open door and imprinted him into the wall outside her office. Hospital. Haku was working as hard as she could as a nurse and was happy to find that a lot of the people around her seemed to be grateful to have her around. Though she of course had to deal with some people that tried to flirt with her, but she quickly said no to all of them, much to the male's disappointment. Still, she was in the middle of organizing several folders when she got called into the main office and had to have one of the other nurses take over for her. Though she didn't expect to find one of the doctors, Tsunade, and Naruto in the room when she did enter the office. You called for me, Dr. Smith-san? Haku asks after giving Naruto a smile as a hello and a quick bow. Well, Haku-san, Hokage-sama has come here today to ask you a very important question, so if you could please turn your attention to her. Doctor Smith told her, and she then looked over at the older women. Haku, I have heard from the brat that you want to train to become a medical ninja. So, I am here to offer for you to be the first student I have entered in a new program I having made. For I plan to have a medical ninja in every team as soon as I can train enough people to start the program off. So, would you like to be the first one? Though I warn you that you will be the program's test dummy, meaning that we will be trying various ways to try and teach you to perfect the system before it starts. Tsunade explains to the girl, whose eyes somehow begin to sparkle with excitement before turning to her smiling master. Go on, I know it is what you have always wanted to do. Naruto told her simply, then was crushed in a bear hug from said girl right before she kissed him right on the lips, making the blonde blush. Thank you, Naruto-sama, she excitedly told him before turning back to Tsunade. I accept, Hokage-sama, she told the women, who smiled back and handed her a file. Very well, then here is some information that you will need, and your first instructor will meet you 2 days from now bright and early in the morning. Tsunade told her simply, then left, still smiling that she actually could start her program. Course after she left, Haku turned back to Naruto and gave him one last kiss and thanks before sealing the file into a sealing mark on her wrist and went back to work, leaving a stunned Naruto and a chuckling doctor. Boy, you are lucky to have a woman like that as your girlfriend. The doctor told him simply, and he just nodded yes, still slightly shocked before finally waking up from it and heading out to do the next part of his plan. Training Field 8. Team 8 was finishing up a good morning training session and all sat down in the shade and brought out whatever food they brought for a late lunch when they saw Naruto walking towards them with a bag in his hand. Naruto, what are you doing out here? Kiba asked, curious. Oh, I just was trying to find Hinata to give her a present, but she wasn't at her house, so I came here and was thankfully right. Naruto told him simply, but Hinata blushed when she overheard him. You came all this way just to give me a present? Hinata asks, curious but still happy enough just because he cared enough to get her one in the first place. Though when he reached their group, she soon smelled a familiar smell that made her droll and quickly run up to the blonde and tackle him into a hug, but was careful to not to damage the bag. So, Naruto ended up falling down quite close to the group, but Hinata didn't seem to mind the fall and quickly sat up on his lap and grabbed the bag. She then opened said bag and found that it was her favorite food, cinnamon buns. This made her smile grow even larger as she quickly thanked the blonde, seeing as she hadn't had one in what seemed like ages, and quickly took a bite out of one of the ones he got her. Hinata, that isn't very proper for you to do. Kurenai warned the young girl, who woke up from her partial food focus and used a napkin to clean her face and ate the bun with a slower pace, which was hard for her addiction to them was like Naruto's to ramen. Course this reaction made Kiba laugh and made Shino have a small smirk on his face, seeing as they both knew that their sensei hated to see girls too close to guys, but Hinata automatically thought she was talking about the food. Hinata, I wasn't talking about your addiction to those sweets. I was talking about the fact that you are still on Naruto-san. Kurenai told her student, partially annoyed. Course when she said this, Hinata blushed, realizing her food phase made her bolder enough to do something she would never have the nerve to do normally. Sorry Naruto-kun, it is just I kind of focus in on cinnamon rolls when they are around. She apologized to her boyfriend, hoping that he wasn't too mad for him, only to hear him chuckle. Hina-chan, it is okay, I mean I get the same way with ramen. Besides, all that matters to me right now is that you are happy, seeing as I made you so worried on my mission. Naruto told her, causing her to blush, and blushed even more as she was hugged from behind by him. Oh okay Naruto-kun. Thank you again. Now let's eat, and Naruto-kun, you can try my bento, I mean if you want to. Hinata told him, secretly hoping he would like her cooking. Sure Hinata, Naruto told the girl with a smile that made said girl blush a bit more before they both ended up eating, but yet again forgetting the position they were in. In fact, Hinata instead just got even closer to him so that she could eat on his lap while he still had the bento box on her lap close enough to grab stuff from. Though neither noticed that this was bugging Kurenai still. I really don't want her to be anywhere near that close to a boy at her age. But even I have to admit that they do look cute as a couple. Kurenai though and was about to try and get them to separate again, but remembered what Hinata told her before the mission and stopped just to make sure she doesn't lose the trust of her student, but still made sure to watch them carefully to make sure Naruto didn't do something he shouldn't. Still, it was an enjoyable meal for them all, but especially for Hinata, who was more than happy to spend time with her favorite blonde and also to have her favorite food. Plus later on in the day, dinner time plus. Naruto spent time with all of his girls except for one and now was fixing this problem by going to see said girl at her job. Hello and welcome to welcome back Naruto-kun. Ayame told her recently made boyfriend with a smile. Hey Ayame-chan, how are you doing today? Naruto asks the girl calmly but actually kind of nervous, seeing as other than what he learned over the years he didn't know much about the older girl. Good Naruto-kun. Now what ramen can I get you tonight? She asked kindly. Well, I actually came to see if you wanted to go eat or do something together so I can get to know you more. Naruto told her honestly while rubbing the back of his head nervously. Oh, poor Naru-kun, but I am not on the menu here, though for you I might make an exception. Ayame told the blonde jokingly and giggled as she watched his face turn bright red. Just kidding Naruto-kun, sure I will go out with you. Just let me tell father I am going out for a bit so we can go talk somewhere where a certain man won't be able to eavesdrop. Ayame told him, then glared over to her father who was watching carefully to make sure his girl was okay. What is this pic on Naruto Day? Naruto though as he waited for her to finish her talk, but as soon as she came back, they left to get a small dinner of dango at Ayame's favorite dinner, which just so happens to also be a certain snake lover's hangout spot as well. Which they found out after talking for a while when the purple hair women sat down next to them. Oh, so Blondie here is a real ladies' man I mean first the blue-haired one and now Ayame. Should I be worried about you going after me as well now that you are going after older women? Enko asked the blonde, who tried to stutter out a response but was saved by Ayame. Don't tease Naruto-kun, you know that I wanted to date my ball of sunshine for ages. Ayame told her, making Naruto blush a bit. Oh well, good for you two then. But the trickster better be good to you or else he will answer to me. Enko warned happily. Wait a second, you were the only trickster that knew both of us quite well. You were the one that sent us those letters a while back, weren't you? Enko asked the blonde, who nodded as a reply. Well thanks Naruto, I guess I owe you one for that. After all, I am enjoying my time with Iruka-kun so much. Enko answered honestly, answered her youngest friend, who smiled at her happily. They then spent a good amount of time just eating and talking, and in the end, Naruto did get to know a lot more about Ayame, which made him happy to know. Naruto's home. When Naruto finally got home, he yet again was tired and just wanted to go to bed, but was instead greeted by an unhappy Haku. Naruto-sama, I made a meal for us to enjoy and instead you just stay out all night. How am I supposed to reward you if you don't let me at least try? Haku told him with a light glare. I'm sorry Haku-chan, but I was busy, how can I make it up to you? He asks the girl, who ends up wanting to sleep with him again, which lead to them both in the same bed where they soon fell asleep. Course the small smile that Naruto had on his face even after being slightly yelled at stayed on his face until he too fell asleep. Chapter 21. Haku yet again woke up feeling more comfortable than she has been in a while and sighed happily. Maybe I should make this a regular thing. I mean, I doubt I can sleep by myself now that I figured out how comfortable this is. I mean, technically I should have realized when Hinata helped me comfort him a bit back, but I was too worried about him to realize this. Haku thought with a smile until she remembered how upset he got. Still, she put that behind herself and used all her willpower to make her leave her comfortable position in order to make sure that she was the one who did the cooking today, and actually have him present to eat it with her. About a half hour later, Naruto finally woke up and realized that Haku left and was momentarily confused until he smelt what had to be a delicious meal and quickly got dressed to see what obviously Haku had prepared. When he finally reached the table, he was quite happy to see that he was right and she was just finishing filling plates for both of them. Course he also couldn't help but notice the fact that her clothing seemed to cling just a bit more to her than usual, and also the fact that she had clearly wet hair, showing she must have taken a shower before he woke up as well. Good morning Haku-hime, and thank you for the meal. Naruto said happily before sitting down and enjoying the first few bites, much to Haku's pleasure. You know, I don't know how I ever lived without you. I mean, whatever I make is terrible, but whatever you make turns into something nearly as good as ramen. Naruto admitted to the girl, then went right back to eating, not noticing that she was clearly overjoyed to hear that her master appreciated her work. Thank you Naruto-sama. I aim to please you as much as possible, he told him happily, then began to eat as well. I wonder what I should do today. Haku thinks, trying to figure out, then looked over to Naruto. You know, I still don't know what Naruto's life was like before he met me. Maybe I should try and get some information on that as well, especially seeing as he seems to hide things at times. Haku thought to herself, seeing as she noticed that every now and then Naruto seemed to hold himself back from doing something, which was especially bad when there was something upsetting involved. So, with that in mind, she calmly finished her meal and left to go to the best information center on Naruto she knew of currently. Hyuga clan compound. Haku calmly walked up to the main gate, where she was stopped by two clan members. State your business here, one of them ordered her in the neutral voice the Hyugas are known for, while slightly tensing up just in case they needed to fight. I am here to see Hinata-san. Haku told the duo, not surprised in the slightest that they were acting this way, even as they both looked at each other and seemed to have a silent conversation with each other. Wait here, I will go speak with Hinata-sama. One of them told her, then quickly left to find her while Haku waited patiently. But soon enough she heard the other guard return and quickly let her in and showed her where Hinata was, and found the girl sitting in a training room with a bit of food and her sister nearby in a similar matter. Hello Hinata, I am sorry if I caught you two in the middle of training. Haku apologized quickly. No, it is fine Haku, we just finished our morning training and were just getting a small breakfast in. Now why did you come to see me today? Hinata asked her now partial friend. For after she didn't need to worry about Haku taking Naruto away from her, she began to actually talk to the girl on kinder terms and actually was beginning to form a good friendship with her. They just weren't completely there yet. Well, I was actually curious about what Naruto-sama's life was like before I met him, and you seem to be the most knowledgeable about him. Haku told her and watched as Hinata's smile turned into a small frown. Well, Naruto-kun's life wasn't all that good. For before we realized the reason just a little while ago, I had no idea why, but before he got his bloodline a lot of people hated him. They basically tortured him for things that he didn't do and made his life miserable. Meanwhile I had to watch it all, seeing as whenever I tried to help him my guards either refused to help protect him or he simply refused to accept any help I gave him out in public. I don't think he liked a lot of people during that time either, thanks to that. She began still with her frown and watched as Haku's face began to have the same frown. You're wrong. What? He didn't refuse your help because he didn't like you, but because when people hate you a lot they will go after even the people that try and help the hated one. Trust me, I know. Haku told the girl, remembering her own childhood before Zabuza found her. For before he did, an older man tried to help her by giving her a home and a grandfather figure that even gave her enough food to survive. But soon enough she accidentally used her ice bloodline yet again and someone saw. So, rather than going after her again, they first went after the old man, forcing her to watch as he was punished for helping a demon child. It truly was one of the worst memories she had of her life. Okay, I guess that makes sense. Hinata responded, partially confused but a bit happier. Now after a while all of us went into school, where while he always seemed to be doing something to get attention from our teacher, who was one of the few people who gave him the time of day but also seemed to partially listen. Still, in every test he was one of the worst scoring, but never seemed to be that surprised by this fact. It almost seemed like he knew something about why it happened other than his study habits and did nothing to fix it. Anyways, after a while he quickly began to prank a lot of people around the village. In fact, he even managed to prank a lot of the more regal members of our clan in pranks that made them look like fools for a while. Hinata told the girl with a smile as she remembered the clan's reaction to some of the pranks. Hee, I still remember how mad Dad got at what has to be one of the bravest men in the village. Hanabi added in, surprising her sister, seeing as she never heard her laugh much or even seriously compliment anyone for years. Yes, anyways, he did all of this for attention and even tried to constantly ask out Sakura just to get the negative attention she would give him. I always hated her for stealing his attention. Hinata began again before stopping to mumble the last part to herself in a voice that was just barely loud enough for the other two to hear. Still, eventually he became our class's dead last and was paired with the highest scoring of both the physical and mental part of our final tests. Basically after that I have no real knowledge, seeing as their training would have been closer to when my team was busy, not that I watched over him or anything. Hinata finished though quickly added the last part, hopping the ice user wouldn't think of her as being a stalker. I see, thank you Hinata. Haku muttered, clearly upset with what she heard. So, his life was just as bad as mine, if not even worse. She thought, annoyed with the village she now lived in, but soon used this new knowledge to get determined to make sure the rest of his life would be as enjoyable as she could make it. It is no problem Haku, you know I don't think I really care for my bento anymore. Do you want to go get some ramen? Hinata asked now that she was thinking about her boyfriend more. Sure. That sounds good, and Naruto-sama already told me he had to go do something and won't be back, so I don't even need to worry about cooking for my master first. Haku answered, but now was a bit amused by how annoyed Hinata seemed to get whenever she heard that someone else was spending their time working hard to keep the bond happy when she was too busy to do so. I will go as well. I want to see why Naruto liked it so much. Hanabi added in before the two left, making her sister curious as to why her normal attitude changed so much all of a sudden. Still, for now she just shrugged it off and they all left to get a few bowls of ramen. Mainly put this in to get a basic history of Naruto's life, and that is a bit different to give more reason to his changes and to also begin to show that Hanabi has some interest in Naruto, so I don't just say, all of a sudden she seemed to love Naruto, later on. So, all of them began their trip through the village, simply enjoying the fact that at the moment none of them had anything to do before finally reaching the stand. Hello Hinata, Haku, Hyuga-san. Ayame happily greeted the two people that helped her get to be with the man she loves but did not know Hanabi, besides seeing her eyes which gave away her clan. Hello Ayame-san, can I get a miso ramen for me and another for my sister? Hinata asks, ordering the second miso ramen when she noticed that Hanabi clearly had no idea what to choose, being that it was her first time at the stand. So, she simply started the younger girl off with one that she found to be one of her favorites, even though her sister glared at her for a bit for taking the decision away from her. And one pork ramen for me. Haku then added simply to the older women, who nodded her head, then went to the back to help her father make the meal. Then soon enough 3 steaming hot bowls of ramen were placed in front of the group of girls, who happily began to eat and talk to each other, and even Ayame when she decided to join in. So, altogether they had a very good meal until they finally decided it was time to leave. That was a good meal. I can see why Mater loves this place so much. Haku told the two Hyugas, seeing as the two chefs truly put as much effort as possible into making sure their food was as good as it could be. Yeah it is, Hinata began before she bumped into an adult who clearly smelt heavily of alcohol. Oh, I am sorry for bumping into you, sir. Hinata kindly apologizes to the man, who shakily turned his attention to them and narrowed his eyes. Oh, well, if it isn't the demon lovers. He spat out, surprising the group at the hostility. I don't know what you mean, sir. Hinata told the man, hopping that she could just keep the talk peaceful and that the man left them alone. Though he seemed to have a lot to say to them, and by the crowd that was quickly forming people were curious as to what would happen here. For they all saw both Hinata and Haku around Naruto and knew that he had to have some relationship with them, but they never really minded as much as they would have, seeing as they now heard that he was from an important clan that could easily hold a good amount of power in the village. You know what I mean. Both of you girls are prudy enough to go after any male yous gals wanted, but both of ya beauties have gone after that Demosh, demon brat. Don't yous all know what he has done to all of Konoha village? The man asks the girl with the drinks he consumed, messing up his speech a bit. We aren't dating a demon, sir, we are dating Naruto Uzumaki, who is a good man for all of us. Hinata told the man, now getting a bit annoyed with him now. Bah, the demon's brat has just put spells on all of ye. You need a good man to get it off. Now let me just give you both me's special medicine. The man tells them both with lust in his eyes as he looked down at the two girls' bodies, not even caring that they were still young. Now he was also going to put a hand on Hinata's shoulder, but a blur sped past him and landed in front of her and now had his wrist held in a firm grip of its own. This blur ended up being Naruto, who clearly was furious. For after stopping the man, he stood there glaring at the man while still holding firmly onto his wrist. Though right now everyone in front of him could notice his eyes partially turning red. Meanwhile the girls behind him could begin to feel Naruto's chakra saturate the air and become very cold and dangerous. Oh, the whittle demon come to see a real man treat the girls under his magic spell, or Genwativers. Well, just watch as I give them all me medicine. The man told Naruto not afraid at all, seeing as he still was the young boy that he was able to torture before. Course now everyone around him was getting disgusted with the fact that this man wanted to do unspeakable things with two young girls, ninja or not. Plus, they were also getting really curious what Naruto would do, seeing as when someone stood up to him he usually just accepted his beating. Though what they didn't expect was for the red tint to completely change his eye color and watch as the pupil turned to become more animal-like. They also now began to feel a large amount of ki weighing down on them and watched in horror as red chakra came from Naruto and seemed to almost be boiling and bubbling. They then heard the drunk man scream in pain as Naruto's grip became strong enough to crush the man's wrist and shock him out of his drunk state. Ow, you dumb demon, that fucking hurts. I was just going to show these girls the error of their way. After all, who cares if the village claims that you are a clan leader now? All in all, you still are the little demon that can't be allowed to create more monsters. Now move so I can show these girls the error of their way. The man told Naruto, happy that he now had a perfect chance to teach Naruto a lesson, seeing as he figured that Naruto would just break down in fear in front of him and let him do what he wants. Though what he didn't expect was to feel extreme pain from his chest. So, he looked down and saw Naruto's hand that was now coated in the red chakra into what looked like a clawed hand was pierced through his chest completely and pierced a massive hole in his lung that Naruto left his hand in. He then looked shocked at Naruto, who was glaring at him with his eyes glowing red and more of the horrible chakra leaking out each second even as blood slowly began dribbling out of his mouth. I may have taken all this village's crap for the old man to not have to deal with so much and to keep my haters hunting group from getting any bigger. But that has changed. I am stronger now and I have people I should know will protect with all of my strength. Now understand, these girls are giving me something that I never thought I would have. They are the ones who finally made me realize why people are supposed to enjoy this damn thing called life. And I will not let a bastard like you harm them. Naruto growled out and roughly tore his hand out of the man's chest, making his blood spray out following his hand and soon after pool around the man's body that fell to the ground at Naruto's feet. Though instead of simply watching as the man's life quickly went away, Naruto brought up his bloody and still clawed hand up ready to hit the man's head. Let this bastard be a message that while I can take any of the crap you say about me, I will not let you harm any of my precious. Naruto called out to the now horrified crowd and quickly began to bring his hand down before an arm from behind wrapped around his arm in a way that tried to stop him but instead just greatly slowed him down due to the strength the chakra was giving him, which was increasing by each moment, making the arm visibly shake as it struggled to try and stop him. Though another pair of arms wrapped around his chest with a large object on his back a bit above them that was making his back wet. He quickly looked behind himself and saw Haku stopping his arm and Hinata holding him with her head on his back. Course he also soon noticed how Haku seemed to be in visible pain and was horrified to realize that the chakra he was using was cooking the skin that was touching it just by its toxic value to any human cell not used to it already. So, due to this shock, the chakra quickly receded back into him and his eyes went back to blue. Hinata, Haku, why? Naruto asked the two girls, shocked that they would protect this man. Course he only slightly noticed that Hanabi also seemed to be in tears just like her sister but was just frozen in place, but brought all of his attention back to the girls. You already stopped him from hurting us, Naruto-kun, and while I don't necessarily like the way you did it, I can't help but partially think a creep like that deserved it. But if you continued this you would just make the village fear you as if you actually were a monster, and I don't want that to happen again, not after it finally began looking better for you here. Hinata told him while still crying. So, he quickly looked at the crowd and saw them all look at him, clearly horrified by what happened and seemed to be frozen in fear just like Hanabi was frozen. Course he also noticed several Anbu who quickly came up to him and placed a seal on his head that stuck onto him and grabbed him away from the girls. Naruto Uzumaki, you are being detained until we determine what will result of this event. One of the Anbu told him, and two of them left with one restraining Naruto and the other watching over him to make sure nothing happened. Though the others that stayed close quickly put the body into a body bag and washed away the now drying blood. They also checked on the girls and made sure they were okay before escorting them to their own homes, telling them that they would be questioned later. Course in Haku's case, she was taken to the hospital to be treated for the chakra burns that were on her. What is going to happen to Naruto-kun? Both of the girls thought, worried as they were taken away from the scene. with their last sight of it being an Anbu trying to calm down the villagers. Council meeting equals. Tsunade was in yet another meeting going over her plans now that she is Hokage when an Anbu shows up near her bowing low. What is it? Tsunade asks the ninja. Hokage-sama, we have found that Jinchuriki Naruto Uzumaki has used the beast's chakra to kill a civilian. While it looked to be a simple murder case, it turns out that said man was getting ready to try and sexually abuse Haku Momochi and Hinata Hyuga. Naruto is retained in a holding cell waiting for your decision on what will happen while we sent the body to the morgue. The man told Tsunade, who rubbed her temples out of annoyance. I haven't even been here for a week and already trouble is brewing around the brat. She thinks annoyed, then listens as the civilian council demanded for Naruto to be punished even if he was technically a clan leader. Course they were silenced quickly when she loudly ordered everyone to do so. Though soon after she did that, Hiyashi decided to add his own opinion in. Hokage-sama, while I don't necessarily approve of the boy being around my daughter, if this man was going to try and defile her, I find the fact that he was killed on the spot to be justifiable. After all, if he was detained instead, I would have him put to death anyways for attempting to harm one of my daughters who might become the next clan leader. Hiyashi told her respectfully, while the civilians stayed quiet, seeing as they knew that this was true, seeing as when she was kidnapped, he quickly tried to get every punishment possible for the cause of it. While it wasn't handled in the right manner, the man in question would have been punished severely anyways. So, it would seem like a light punishment for Naruto-san would be good enough just to make sure he doesn't think it is completely okay to kill them again. Shikaku mumbled out in his normal sleepy intellectual voice. Course before the civilians that were still against Naruto could react, Tsunade made her decision. I decree that Naruto Uzumaki will be given, having to do 2 days of only D-rank missions as his punishment for killing a civilian in question before he could be sentenced for his own illegal acts. Tsunade tells the group, seeing as even she felt that Naruto's murder was justified due to the events but had to punish him somehow so that people don't accuse her of favoritism. Though by the looks of the council a lot of them were happy with her decision, showing they felt the same way. Guard, release Naruto and tell him that he is to report at the mission hall tomorrow morning for his punishment to begin. Tsunade ordered the Anbu, who nodded his head and left. Containment cell. Naruto was calmly sitting in his cell, waited for whatever the council decided his fate to be. For while he knew he shouldn't kill civilians of his own village no matter what, he still found what he did to be worth any punishment. So, instead of whining, begging, or trying to act tough like the rest of the people around him were doing. While waiting for trail, he just sat in the middle of his cell just waiting. Though soon enough he heard footsteps coming closer to his cell and looked up to find a few Anbu standing around his gate. Naruto Uzumaki, it has been determined that starting tomorrow you will have several D-rank missions assigned for you to complete for no pay for that day and the next day. This is your punishment, but otherwise we are here to let you out. Just be sure to show up in the mission room to collect the beginning of your missions bright and early tomorrow. One of the Anbu told him. Then they all walked into his cage and began to remove the chakra suppressors they put on him and gave him back his normal gear to wear yet again. Then as soon as he was done getting ready, they led him to a small room that had a seal covering the entire floor before disappearing from the chamber with a guard. Course he wasn't surprised by this, seeing as no one should know where the criminals are kept so that no one could get them out. What he did find surprising was that they brought him so close to his house before nodding as a goodbye and leaving the boy alone in the village. Naruto's house. When Naruto finally made it home, he was ready to see Haku hate him for being a cold-blooded killer and hardened his heart yet again to try and make her words hurt less. Instead he saw her and surprisingly Hinata at a table and were instantly relieved when they saw that he was back. Naruto-kun, I am so sorry we didn't protect ourselves and made you have to enter jail. Hinata told him while crying a bit. Course Naruto couldn't help but be surprised, seeing he was expecting hatred, not two worried girls. No, it is okay Hinata, I would gladly protect any of you no matter what the cost is, but shouldn't you two be afraid of me seeing as I now am a cold-blooded killer? Naruto asks, shocked. No Naruto-sama, we know it was just your way of protecting us, though a less brutal way would be better if there is a next time. Haku tells him, and then he turned to Hinata, who nodded in agreement before blushing. Hey Naruto, did you really mean it when you told him that we are your precious people? Hinata asks, still blushing. Yes, Hinata, all of you gave me the one thing I would never experience returned, being love, and also what I never thought I would have, a family. All of you girls mean the world to me and I would gladly do anything to make sure you stay happy. Naruto told them with his love for them clear in his expressions, which made both girls blush badly. Oh, thank you Naruto-kun, wait, you never thought you would have Sakura return your love for her? Hinata asked, slightly disappointed seeing as she was hoping that she was the one he first found to love, seeing as he asked her out first. No, for Sakura, sure, I found her attractive and still partially do, but really she was the one of the only people I knew on my level that I wouldn't mind dating a lot if she accepted, plus she actually responded to me. Naruto told Hinata honestly. At your level? What do you mean all of us were at the same rank? Hinata asks, confused, with Haku now getting curious. Well, I basically put any of the clan member girls out of my league seeing as they had anything they wanted and I was only an orphan. But really the only girl I was focused on I knew I would never be able to ask out, well before I got closer to her level by becoming a clan member, and that was the princess of Konoha. Naruto told them, still being honest, while Hinata blushed badly knowing that is what she is called due to her clan's strength. You mean all this time you loved me, the girl who was too timid to try and get anyone's attention and thought I wasn't on your level? Naruto-kun, I probably was lower than your level seeing as only Kiba ever tried to flirt with me. Hinata told him, seeing as she always thought she wasn't all that pretty, seeing as while the more social girls like Ino were asked out all the time, she was only seen by one boy that she found to like as only a good friend. No, Hinata, you may think that, but even back then you were the beauty of our class. After all, I know a lot of other boys always used to talk about you but were too afraid of your clan's power to talk to you. After all, we all saw what a beautiful woman you were becoming. Naruto explained, making the girl severely happy knowing not only was she considered beautiful by her crush but she also was the one that he would have went after all through school if she just had enough guts to ask him out. Though this led to her kissing Naruto right on the lips where she found the feeling she received to bring even more pleasure to her body. So, they kissed again, and again until eventually they made them longer lasting to keep the feeling going. In fact, they were so enveloped by the feeling that they didn't even notice Haku leave when she finally decided that she would get her turn to talk to him later and that they needed this moment. Still, Naruto partially noticed her absence for a moment before he was surprised to find Hinata licking at his teeth, which made him open them out of shock. So, he opened his eyes and looked to see Hinata as clearly in a lust haze. But seeing as she seemed to be even happier than before, he chose to not stop her and just enjoy it as well. Course he was surprised that in her lustful mood she began rubbing around his body with her hands, but soon enough he found himself reacting to it. A reaction that made all of his self-control leave his teenage hormonal body and get more into their moment as well. In fact, it was just shy of becoming a sexual moment before a loud banging came from the door, shocking them both out of it. I should, get that. Naruto told her and rushed to the door while trying to recover from his lust, while Hinata stood there blushing heavily remembering what they were about to do. Sasuke, random training ground Che, that damn Dobi getting all the credit for beating that desert demon child. That should have been me so that the world can begin to understand the greatness of me, the all-might Uchiha clan head. Plus, he has been able to collect the stronger and more beautiful girls of the village, they should be mine as well. He will pay for taking stuff that should belong to me. Sasuke thought, angry while resting on a tree branch that was close to where he was training. Look, we finally found the Uchiha. He heard from a good distance away from him and tried to get prepared for a battle, but before he could, a few wires wrapped around the tree and tightened to tie him to said tree. He then saw a group of people appeared around him. Hey Uchiha, are you still looking for the power that Orochimaru-sama can give you? Kimimaro asked the struggling boy. Yes, any power that it is possible to achieve rightfully belong to the Uchiha. Sasuke told them, fully believing their clan deserves everything they want. Che, this bastard is fucking stuck up. The only women mumbled out but is ignored for the most part. Very well, then come to the location on this map by 7:30 tonight. It may look blank right now, but that is just to make sure that no one will question it until it is needed, so it will not actually appear until 7 o'clock tonight. Kimimaro told him with a blank face. Very well. Sasuke told them simply and watched as he put the paper down on the tree and then felt the wires tying him up loose and letting him quickly grab the paper. Yes, very soon I will be able to gain a lot of power under Asanin. Soon I will have more than enough power to be able to defeat all that stand in my way. Sasuke thinks with a smirk while picturing his brother and also Naruto, and I will collect what is rightfully belonging to me and my clan. He continued, now picturing a large clan compound with multiple strong women admiring him who had every Kage's hat sitting on the ground in front of him. All I need is time and I will be able to show the world what the true power of the Uchiha is. Then they will understand why we were always feared. Just you wait, world, I will surpass even Madara and become someone that the whole world has to respect. He finished with an insane laugh before heading back to his currently empty clan compound to collect anything he would need on his training trip, seeing as he knew he would have to become strong enough to control Konoha before he is ever allowed back, seeing as he was leaving it. After all, in his mind, why bother serving a village that refuses to give you any more resources to become stronger instead of going to one that will make you one of the strongest beings alive. Plus 6:30 o'clock that night plus. Sasuke now was sitting on one of his clan's several rooftops simply watching the sky until it was time for his map to be activated. Though now in his kunai pouch was not only just a good amount of kunai but also several sealing scrolls filled with anything he felt he could ever possibly need. But he wasn't focused on that currently, instead he was looking down at the paper which quickly was stained with ink that showed a clear destination. And with that he left with a smirk, ready to get the power he deserved, and didn't even glance back at the village that had been his home for years. Goodbye weaklings of Konoha, hello power. He thought happily as he sped up even more to reach the meeting point before anyone noticed him. Meeting spot. When Sasuke finally made it to the marked location, he saw all of the same people there, and yet again Kimimaro walked up to him with his fatter teammate following, carrying a large barrel on his back. Okay Sasuke, to begin giving you the power Orochimaru-sama can give you, take this pill. It will rebuild your body in order for you not only unseal the power that Orochimaru-sama gave you, and also will let you reach the second level of the seal. So, take this quickly and let yourself fall asleep while we will carry you to our base in this container, which will help the process go smoothly. He explained, and then watched as the Uchiha immediately took the pill and instantly passed out, only to be quickly caught and stuffed into the barrel. The process has begun. Now let's go. Orochimaru-sama wants us back before he fully reaches the second level so he may welcome his new student. Kimimaro tells the group, who nods, and they all begin their trip back to their hidden base. Naruto's house. At the door Naruto saw Shikamaru, who was for once completely serious, looking at him, which took the last bit of his lust haze away. Naruto-san, grab anything you need for a large fight as fast as possible. You and a few others will be following me as we go to try and capture a possible missing ninja. He told Naruto, serious. Huh, why would we be sent after him then? Usually the Anbu do that. Naruto asked. Naruto, it is Sasuke, so he is not currently at the treat level the Anbu go after. Also, they are all busy, so Tsunade has me collecting a few of our available ninja to go. Now grab your things and meet me at this gate. Shikamaru ordered. Naruto then quickly showed him a spot on a map before running off to more than likely prepare some more. Course after that Naruto quickly grabbed a few things before heading out, telling the girls that he needed to help, seeing as he knew they heard Shikamaru, and quickly ran to the meeting point. Soon enough Naruto and several other members of their graduating class were nervously standing at the gate when Shikamaru showed up and instantly took charge. Okay, so now he was last seen by our chakra sensors heading straight this direction a little bit ago. Now be careful, seeing as they have also sensed several other large chakra signatures with him, so be ready for a fight at any time. Shikamaru told them, then watched as they nodded, showing they understood. Good, then let's go, he added, and they all speed off to catch up to the leaving ninja, ready to use any means necessary to stop him. Chapter 22. In Konoha. Haku, Hinata. Both of the girls were still in Naruto's house even after hearing him quickly rush out of the house to do his duty as a ninja. Course this was partially thanks to Hinata, frozen in place, blushing badly just thinking of what she did to Naruto and how he was reacting. Naruto, please come back safe from this. Knowing Sasuke he wouldn't leave unless someone was offering him more power, meaning he probably won't be alone. Still, just come back safe to me, to us. And if possible, rush back after collecting that so we can continue what we started now that we have broken into the next level. Hinata thought sending out prayers to whatever deity was listening to keep him safe. Also she currently has no idea her teammate is with him or else she would be a bit worried about him as well. Naruto-sama, I know that you are strong, easily stronger than me. Still I can't help but wish to go with you on this mission. After all, you never know when you need an extra weapon. No, you wouldn't want me thinking like that. You are too kind for that. I wished to become your tool and instead you made me into your friend and later your girlfriend. I will still serve you, but don't worry, I now know how to live better than I was. Now all I need is for you to come back and be with me longer, Naruto-kun. Haku thought, still worried about her boyfriend but knew he could easily take care of himself. _Ino_. I know there is something going on, I just wish I knew what. But it has to be important seeing as I have never seen Shikamaru-kun move that faster after the Anbu pulled him away from our group family's dinner. Ino thought, worried seeing as she was able to see him become completely serious due to the group of their families turning into a friendship that basically made them all feel to be one large family. Even she felt it even if she never really showed how much she cared for her pseudo-brothers. You even took Choji after a quick chat and he didn't even complain about missing the meal. Something is going on and it is really bad, just please be careful you two. Ino thought, hopping for the best but still not really knowing what is going on. Group chasing after Sasuke, Forest tilde. Each member of the group was all quietly racing to catch up, even making sure to go at speeds that they normally wouldn't use due to it not being good for long travels. Still eventually they reached the group that were apparently going only at a normal speed, probably thinking they were in the clear. Though soon enough they saw the pale member of the group who was apparently the leader stop the group and make them all look at them. They were found out, meaning there was no times for plans, just for fighting. Ah, so I see that the Konoha actually managed to notice us. I must make sure we do not let this happen again. Kimimaro tells them as he watches them all jump out of the trees and land a few feet in front of the direction they were now looking. But for now, Jirobo, take care of them while we go on ahead. He added, knowing the chubby man would be best suited for keeping a large group from continuing. His order was soon followed. When said man gave the container that Sasuke was into one of his teammates and walked to the front of their group and quickly slams his hands on the ground. Earth release barrier, Earth prison dome of magnificent nothingness, Jirobo called out happily, and a dome of stone closed in on the Konoha group who failed to escape the jutsu in time. Now all of your pathetic group is stuck in this dome while I slowly drain all of you dry of chakra. Jirobo told them happily with both of his hands on the outside of the dome, but soon enough he found something out that made his smile fade just a bit. Che, here I thought this would be relatively quick seeing as they all should have around a normal genin's amount of chakra, but for some reason it feels like I am trying to drain an ocean with a sake glass. Just how much chakra do these ninjas have at their disposal? He questions mentally but still nods to his team's leader and watched as they all left. In the dome. After hearing this, each one of the group members tense up, trying to figure out how to get out before they lose too much of their chakra. This of course leads to each one of them trying one of their attacks on the walls just to watch the damage they did quickly repair. Though after that they all tensed when they heard their capturer laughing at their attempts. Just keep trying to get out, Konoha ninja. It will only make this faster. He told them happily, seeing as some of the large mass of chakra he felt was going to be used up. Though after he said this, Shikamaru began to try and make a plan to get out while Kiba decided to do his own. That is it, I refuse to just let this guy take all of our chakra. Come on Akamaru, let's attack this thing till we bust out. Kiba told his companion, who barked as an answer, and they both tensed up before jumping into the air while quickly spinning. Fang passing Fang, Kiba called out, and with as much force and speed as he and Akamaru could muster started hitting various parts of the dome. Course the rest of the team saw the damage getting healed up each time and began trying to get their teammate to stop, only to be ignored. So it seems that his jutsu is well equipped to repair from multiple people attacking at the same time. Though how is this healing and even taking our chakras, seeing as even jutsu placed stone should not be able to absorb it or repair. But if he keeps pumping his own chakra into the jutsu and covers the entire dome allowing the transfer, but that would mean that for such a large dome he would have to be pumping out a large amount of chakra at the same time. Shikamaru thinks, then watches Kiba and Akamaru while their attack is going and saw something that made his eyes widen a bit in surprise. How did I not notice that before? It takes time to spread chakra to this entire large area, so with only one person using this jutsu, of course some parts will heal faster than others. And seeing as he is on that side, the weakest side would be on the complete other side. I have a plan that might just work. Shikamaru thought hopping his plan would work. Everyone try to do damage to the wall. And Choji, make sure you use your human bullet tank jutsu. Shikamaru ordered the group while using hand signs to imply more now that all of them could see at least a bit in the darkness now that they got used to it. Everyone try to damage the wall. Focus on the side he is not for most damage, but don't make it too obvious. And Choji, make sure you use your human bullet tank jutsu when the other side is about as damaged as possible and break through the wall. Was his full plan, and they quickly did just that. For all of them attacked the sides, but Naruto also created several clones to attack the back with Rasengans that caused severe damage and then signaled Choji to do his jutsu, which said boy did so immediately, and they all watched as the boy ball tore through the rock, much to their relief for finally being able to jump out of the trap before it could close up again. Though that clearly annoyed Jirobo when he saw them. Damn fools. Well, I guess I will have to deal with all of you guys the old-fashioned way. Jirobo told them, then prepared to attack one of them before the human boulder that was still going slammed into him, knocking him a bit away from the group as he was pushed back but still on his feet. Guys, go on ahead, I will deal with this guy. Choji told his friends after stopping his jutsu. But Shikamaru tried to tell his friend only to get cut off by the pudgy boy repeating for them to go. Course they all saw that they couldn't stop him from wanting to do this, so they all left instead of insulting him by staying even after he tried to have them put their trust in him. Che, you will regret that, brat. Jirobo told Choji after he walked back towards the group and saw the rest of them quickly going away from them. After all, now I have to kill you before I go and take care of your friends. He added, angering Choji even more. Group. After they left Choji to fight what they all knew would be a tough opponent, each one of the remaining group were worried about what the results of this mission would be, and if possible even a bit more focused. They knew they had to give it their all for this mission, and that is exactly what they would do. And soon enough they found themselves yet again catching up to the remainder of the Sound 4 team, who were still speeding away at a good speed, though Neji, who had his dojutsu active, noticed something about the team. Wait a minute, they had a group of 5 without including Sasuke, and we only lost one of them, leaving them with 4 people. Then why do I only see 3 of them? Neji thought, worried, with his danger sense kicking in badly, before all of a sudden he saw a strange large arrow coming at them fast. Everyone get down. Neji yelled at the rest of the group, who immediately did so and were soon very thankful, seeing as the arrow that would have hit the team instead got stuck after it went through a tree trunk. Oh, so the Hyuga managed to figure it out, huh? Well, no matter, I still get to enjoy the hunt of all these pathetic ninjas. Kidomaru told the group from seemingly all around them in the forest they were in, causing them all to tense up. Course they all focused attention onto Neji, knowing his dojutsu would be key in this fight. Course said ninja seemed to be thinking something over. Everyone go on ahead, I will take on this enemy, all of you continue the mission. Neji told the group, making them all look at him slightly shocked. Neji, are you sure you want? Naruto began, worried about the boy that he became kind of friends with after he knocked some sense into him but was cut off. This guy is a long-distance fighter who can launch high-speed projectiles at us at any moment. Having anyone that can't sense them coming is a liability more than a help. Now go. Neji told them, being more analytical than Choji was, but still they eventually agreed and tried getting away from the area as fast as possible before they were targeted again. Oh, my prey is leaving. I guess I will just have to hunt you all down one at a time, starting with you, Hyuga. Kidomaru told Neji as he quickly got in his normal fighting stance and prepared to try and use his dojutsu to the best of his capabilities. Remainder of group. After leaving Neji behind, the remaining members of the Konoha group were even more worried about their teammates, but still continued on, seeing as they trusted their teammates to stay alive and win. Plus, they also still needed to catch up to the group that yet again were far away from them. After all, if they crossed the border, things would get a lot more complicated. Still, eventually they did find themselves close to the group and even heard Tsuyu complaining. For fuck's sake, first, we have to go all the way to Konoha just to pick up this brat. Then the bitch leading the village sends a group of midgets after us, and now I have to carry the Fukin boy who made all these problems for us. Tsuyu complained, even though her teammates were trying their best to ignore her. course they then noticed the Konoha ninja that were close to them again. Oh, crap, they escaped the other assholes yet again. She complained while Kimimaro frowned. Yes, it seems the others have failed yet again. Saken, Ukan, you two better not fail me like the others. The pale man told the fused twins who stayed behind as they left. Well, it seems we get to fight as well, brother. Saken mumbles happily to what seemed to be himself to the Konoha ninja. Though Kiba was less focused on that weirdness than he was at Akamaru, who was growling at the ninja, putting him on edge seeing as he never saw the dog that serious before. Oh, and look, these stupid ninjas even brought a small puppy with them. How foolish they are to bring a useless pet. Saken told them, making both Kiba and Akamaru furious. Grr. This bastard dares to make fun of not only me but my whole clan. Guys, leave him to us. Kiba told the group, who understood his rage and expected it now. Not to mention the fact that they now realized that if they didn't do so the sound ninja would escape easily. So, they left their friend yet again to catch up with the last members of the sound team. Though they didn't go far before they eventually reached the sound team much faster than last time, which they were thankful for seeing as they were reaching the border. Naruto, if they split up again, I will take the girl who will most likely be the one that stays behind while you take on the leader. Shikamaru tells the blonde, who gets curious as to why but just accepts it as fact, seeing as they were getting too close to the enemy to worry about anything but the enemy. Naruto-san is stronger than me, so he should take the leader, who is more than likely the strongest member of this group. Was Shikamaru's thoughts, and when he saw that the girl did change paths and charge at them. So, with a few well-placed throws of kunai and shuriken with a few explosive notes, he diverted her to the side and kept her away from Naruto. He then gave a quick nod to the blonde and continued to keep her away from the blonde, who speed past them to keep up with Kimimaro. Like, I will let that asshole escape. Tsuyu growled out, even if she was a good distance away from the blonde. Still, she brought up her flute to her lips and was about to play a song but was stopped due to having to dodge a shadow that was trying to connect to her own, making Shikamaru smirk, seeing as he knew she had to be up to something. Still, he then watched as Naruto got too far away from them for even long-range attacks to hit him, and then Shikamaru turned his full attention back to the fuming girl. Damn you bastard. I will make sure you die painfully for that. Tsuyu told him, leaking a good amount of ki before yet again bringing her flute to her lips. Naruto_. Damn, this is not how this was supposed to happen. Naruto thought, annoyed, then pictured all of his team briefly. You better not die. He added, then launched himself fast enough through the trees to catch up to Kimimaro in a large field. Stop, bastard. Naruto called out to the pale ninja, who just turned calmly to him. Yet again it seems you Konoha ninja are truly far too stubborn. Now we must make sure you all die before we can complete our mission. Kimimaro told him. Then Naruto watched in morbid fascination as Kimimaro's fingers' skin parted at the top to show the bones underneath. 10-finger drilling bullets, he calmly called out. Then several pieces of bone launched at Naruto at an extremely fast speed but was still easily dogged. Still, Naruto was preparing for a hard fight when both him and Kimimaro looked to the side when they heard a quiet voice that seemed to be getting louder as a dust cloud came at them. The cloud then sped up even more when it was closer to them and screamed out dynamic entry as it launched at Kimimaro. Naruto then saw said pale sound ninja having his chest slightly more pounced as he looked at the man who made the dust cloud, which turned out to be Lee. Course that only lasted a moment before he released more bone spikes on his chest to try and impale Lee, who quickly jumped back towards Naruto. Yosh, Naruto-san, I am here to help you get the unyouthful Sasuke back from the enemy. The energetic ninja told Naruto. Okay, then let's beat this guy down fast, seeing as Sasuke is in that barrel over there. Naruto told Lee, who nodded, and they both prepared to fight until everyone heard a loud cracking sound and looked to the barrel to find Sasuke was out. Orochimaru-sama will be upset that you finished reaching the next level before we reach the base. Still, we need you back there anyways, so quickly head to this location and we will meet you there after we deal with these Konoha ninja. Kimimaro told Sasuke while throwing him a piece of paper. Said boy caught the paper and nodded before speeding off back towards the border. Damn it. Naruto mumbled when he saw this and then looked over at Lee, who clearly had something to say. Naruto-san, I will fight this enemy here and show my youthfulness here. You go get the Uchiha before he escapes. Lee told him seriously, and Naruto just nodded his head after a moment before running off while Lee began his fight. Valley of the End. Naruto ended up catching up to the Uchiha right after he jumped to the other side of the Valley of the End, and they both just stood there staring at each other for a few moments. So, we really have to go this far just to drag you back to the village? Naruto asked, annoyed. I will not go back to the village. It has nothing left to get me stronger, while Orochimaru has more than enough for me to use. Sasuke told him. Very well, then I guess I have no other choice but to drag you back, even if I have to break every bone in your body. Naruto told him seriously. As if you could, Dobi. Sasuke told him, and with that they both tensed up ready to fight. Chapter 23. At the valley, the two teenagers stared at each other, simply waiting to see who would throw the first punch. The very air in between them seemed to be tense before Sasuke jumped from his monument first and came at Naruto with a kick that was quickly dogged, and then said Blonde retaliated by throwing a quick punch that was pushed off course easily. The two then continued their fast-paced sparring match on the head until Sasuke got a good side kick on Naruto, knocking the wind out of him. Course soon after he got this hit, Naruto took the opening he created and hit him in the face hard enough to knock him back enough to fall into the valley. So, Sasuke had to quickly recover enough to have his feet hit the water first so he could keep his balance before looking up at Naruto. It looks like I have to actually get serious about fighting you, seeing as I really need to finish this quickly and get to my new teacher. Sasuke told him, then quickly did a few hand signs before holding on of his arms straight and pointed at the ground while the other grabbed towards his shoulder for support. Soon electricity was seen coating his straight hand. He then ran straight up the mountain before jumping to get to Naruto, who jumped off with a Rasengan in hand. Soon their attacks hit each other and fought for dominance until they both eventually cancelled out and the impact of the used chakra burnt their hands a bit. How is it possible that a weakling like you could manage to negate an Uchiha's attack? Sasuke asked, angered by the fact that Naruto wasn't clearly below him in terms of power. Well, it is simple, Uchiha. While you may not believe it, you aren't the only one who trains to use all of their attacks to the best of their ability. Naruto told him, knowing that Sasuke did spend a lot of time trying to master at least a few of his attacks, even if he didn't do that for all of them. Would ever Dobi just die already? Sasuke told him, then quickly went through more hand signs. Fire style. Great fireball jutsu, he mumbled out, then after a deep breath blew out a massive ball of fire at Naruto, who simply stood there watching the fireball come. Course this made the fire quickly surround his body, making him vanish from sight due to the fire and a bit of steam that was created by the fire that seemed to be hissing. Good, the Dobi finally listened to his superior. Sasuke spat out and turned to slowly walk towards his new life. Where are you going, He then heard, shocking him enough to look back and see a completely fine blonde standing behind what looked to be a curved wall of water in front of him that was still releasing an almost unnoticeable amount of steam. But this disappeared when the water all just fell back into the river. What, did you really think that a little bit of fire would be enough to kill me? Well, let me tell you a little secret. You see, your clan always has members that have a strong attribute to fire as their first element and then find their second, which in your case seems to be lighting. But for my clan it is the same, except instead of fire we have water. Naruto explained, partially happy to see that his chakra mold release. Water wall jutsu bugged the Uchiha in front of him. Course he then watched as Sasuke quickly got over his shock and glared at him even more annoyed than before and was releasing all the ki he could at him. Sasuke then rushed at Naruto with a quickly prepared Chidori, only to see Naruto quickly bring up another wall that this time seemed green. But he didn't worry about this and simply pushed his Chidori at the wall that gave some resistance but eventually pushed through and would have hit the blonde behind it if he didn't manage to negate the rest of the attack's power with an imperfect Rasengan, seeing as he didn't have the time to create it fully. Man, I have to give it to Kakashi. His jutsu is strong enough that even a weak one can pierce through a wind wall defense. Naruto mumbled, a bit annoyed with himself for almost being hurt due to his own pride in his jutsu. Note to self, next time you can easily dodge an attack, do so instead of trying to show off. Naruto quickly thought before having to focus back on the fight that became a taijutsu match again. Though this time Sasuke activated his Sharingan to put Naruto into a genjutsu that thankfully he quickly came out of, but it still slowed Naruto down for a second, which was just enough for Sasuke to start a quick combo that launched Naruto back into the stone wall. Was all Naruto could push out after having the wind knocked out of his lungs. Well, I guess even if your genjutsu can't really do too much harm to me, it still is something I need to be careful of. Naruto complained, but Sasuke didn't listen and only continued the fight. Damn, now instead of remaining too cocky and letting this fight be easy, he is more into just trying to kill me. I need to be more careful now, seeing as even if he is way too cocky, he still was head of our class for a reason. Though it is good to know that genjutsu leaves a hole in my defenses, I will need to work on that. Naruto thought before returning all of his attention back to the fight at hand. Though both of them focused mainly on using taijutsu for their match to save chakra for jutsu if they needed them later on. Though Sasuke was the one who broke the pure match by all of a sudden going through hand signs close range to Naruto, who quickly tried to take the opening created by his hands being occupied but stopped his attempt as soon as he saw Sasuke stop and jumped back a bit to have time to dodge the attack he already saw several times during their team training times. Fire style. Phoenix Sage Fire Jutsu, was soon called out, and Naruto was forced to dodge the few dozen small fireballs that came at him by jumping to the side, though what he didn't expect was to find out it was only a distraction, and yet again Sasuke came at him again with a Chidori that was heading right to his heart. In fact, he only had time to bring up his hand and create a small chakra shield and make it as dense as he could before the Chidori reached him. Sadly, while Sasuke visibly was struggling to push enough power into the jutsu that he still couldn't do too many times, but in the end made it through the shield and hit Naruto. Though thankfully for Naruto the attack actually didn't hit his heart but still caused a good bit of damage to the muscle and had electrical burns charring his skin as well. This caused a large amount of pain for the blonde and a smirk to appear on the Uchiha's face as he looked at the charred closed wound. Though that smile turned into a look of shock when he saw more smoke coming off the wound and visibly saw the muscle and tissue heal themselves at a good pace. What the hell is he? No human should be capable of healing from something like that. He stole my victory yet again, that damn Dobi, though I guess this means that all those people that called him a demon were really telling the truth. Sasuke thought, but when he finally brought his focus back to the fight, he saw that the healing was already pretty far along and would more than likely be done with soon, meaning he missed a chance of finishing him off. Damn, I let myself get too unfocused. Whatever, I still can easily beat the Dobi even if I have used the Chidori 3 times. I just need to make sure my last one counts. He thought, then quickly thought of his plans to catch Naruto off guard again. Grr, I will admit you caught me off guard with that last combo, but it will not happen again. After all, I need to bring you back to the village no matter what. Naruto told him, determined not to fail the mission while the rest of his teammates were risking their lives even as he stood there just to give him this chance. Naruto then tried to move only to feel a jolt of pain come from his now basically healed wound, which ended up making him accidentally enter what could only be called his inner world to think. Damn, this injury still fucking hurts. I guess that makes sense seeing as that attack did cause serious damage to me. But I don't have the time needed to just sit here and let it finish properly. I need to move and fight if I want to complete this mission. Naruto thought, cursing the fact that he let himself get hit this bad to begin with. You are still so weak, Nigan, even after learning about that damned bloodline. Pathetic, but I refuse to have even my holder lose to the clan I hate the most. Let me give you a taste of what power actually feels like. A dark voice mumbles out to Naruto from deep in his subconscious. Wait, what? That must have been, but he never talked before. Naruto thought for a bit before a surge of chakra pushed him out of his own representation of his mind. Though when he came back to the real world only a few moments seemed to pass, seeing as Sasuke was still just glaring at him. But he was just as surprised as said Uchiha when visible red chakra roared out of him, easily equaling or maybe even doubling the amount of chakra he had at the start of the fight. So, this is just a small taste of his chakra. Just how much power do the Biju have if this is already easily twice the amount of chakra I have in my reserves? Naruto mentally questioned, but instead of worrying about it he refocused on the fight, but now was even more confident that he would win, seeing as there was so much chakra flowing through him, seeming to heal any injury or exhaustion he felt. So, with a grin, Naruto quickly brought his fingers into a cross and called out Shadow Clone Jutsu, creating 30 clones that charged at Sasuke, who quickly began to take care of the clones. Though what he wasn't able to see is the fact that 2 of the clones were staying back and seemed to be focusing hard to mold a large amount of chakra, while the real Naruto formed what currently was his strongest attack, the Rasengan. Course soon enough the clones that were used as a distraction were destroyed by Sasuke, but as soon as they were, a golden chain flew at him from two directions and quickly wrapped around his arms and pulled them in separate directions, keeping him from using his hands for anything. Though what surprised him more was the fact that he could feel the chains suppress his chakra and had to actually struggle to keep his immature Sharingan active. But that wasn't on his mind for long before he was shocked yet again when he saw the real Naruto rush at him with a spinning ball of chakra that soon was slammed into his gut. After he was hit, the chains disappeared, leaving his body to start spinning due to the attack and be launched into the wall hard enough to create a dent in the rock. Though somehow, he was able to stay conscious through this and coughed up blood before trying to glare at the blonde, only to find his sight was slightly blurry. It was really worth all that chakra to get a good hit on the bastard. I mean, mother's suppression chains are really hard to make and use a lot of chakra. Then again, I guess she was used to using them and probably had a lot more chakra than me. Naruto thought, figuring the fight would just be about over due to how much damage he knew his jutsu created, but still watched the Uchiha carefully. Damn, how did the Dobi manage to do something like that? I see he must have used a large amount of his reserves on all of that and figured that it would be enough to finish me. But he didn't realize that the elite Uchiha blood in me made me strong enough to survive his best attack with only a bit of damage and dizziness thanks to the spin. Sasuke thought, even as he looked at the wound, seeing as he figured it only was enough to knock the wind out of him and clearly did not puncture his body. Course when he tried to move, a large jolt of pain spread through him, making him quickly rethink how injured he was. No, this is not possible, I refuse to lose. He thought, enraged, but quickly felt this anger and rage become stronger in his mind as he felt a strange chakra come from his curse mark. Course seeing as it was giving him power, he simply let it run its course while enjoying the feeling of new power, but also felt his body itself seem to change and become stronger as well. So this is the taste of power those sound ninja were talking about. This is great. All of my injuries are gone and I feel much more powerful than I ever have been before. Sasuke thought happily and stood up from the hole that his body created. What the hell, was only Naruto's thought as he looked at his old teammate that now looked like a bat. For he now had gray skin with black marks on his body and even had two wings coming from his back that seemed to look more like webbed hands. Though the fact that Sasuke was now easily standing and smirking also put him on edge, knowing that the fight that he once thought was over is now far from that. Course feeling the chakra that now was around Sasuke, Naruto couldn't help but notice how impure it felt. After all, it seemed to be even fouler than even the chakra he used when feeling pure rage. Just what kind of being could make chakra that is even darker and sinister than actual Biju chakra? Naruto couldn't help but think as he looked at the new version of Sasuke. Though this didn't last long before Sasuke surprised him by moving much faster than he did before and was hit in the gut hard enough to make his own crater on the other side of the valley. Che, how does it feel, Dobi, now that I returned the favor? Sasuke asked Naruto as he let the blonde recover from the attack now that he felt invincible. Man, all of this power. This really should belong to an elite like me, and so does all of what the snake will be giving me as well. Sasuke mumbled to himself, happily feeling the foul chakra at his disposal. Was all Naruto could push out after the initial punch. Well, that was much stronger than before. I really am going to have to use all of the Kyuubi's chakra just to hopefully be able to beat him now that he has been powered up. Naruto thought, knowing that anything given or created by Orochimaru should be dealt with using as much caution as possible, and the new Sasuke would surely fall under that category. So even though he knew as well that the Kyuubi's chakra was dangerous as well, he still pulled upon everything that was given to him and even unconsciously pulled more from the seal and fell to his hands as a cloak of the bubbling red chakra came around his body and created a single tail behind him. Then after it formed, it seemed to condense even farther, creating more of a shell around him. Though he paid no mind to this and instead quickly charged at Sasuke again and began their fight again. This time though, while Sasuke was still using his normal fighting style, Naruto ended using a more animalistic style that somehow was ingrained into his mind as he used the Kyuubi's chakra. Still, after a while both of them took several hits but didn't seem affected by them too much, but the damage that was now shown in the rocks around them showed just how brutal their fight was at the moment. Still, their eyes never left each other, with both of their blood-red eyes trying to figure out their opponent's next move would be. After all, both of them now knew that their taijutsu had little effect on each other, and while Sasuke was able to use jutsu easily, still unlike Naruto, he was at a slight advantage there. Meanwhile, Naruto had the advantage using pure chakra molding and manipulation, seeing as he instinctively used the cloak's abilities as well as his normal bloodline moves. Course, after a while Naruto did just that and stretched the chakra claw towards Sasuke, trying to cut him with the nails that, thanks to the dense layer of chakra, were more like hardened blades rather than untouchable chakra. Though in the end this was easily avoided but caused them to have a large amount of area between each other yet again. Well Dobi, I have to admit that you were a decent match, but I must end it now, seeing as I really need to get to my new sensei. Sasuke told the blonde, then without even needing hand signs forced lighting chakra to coat his hands into a Chidori that was extremely overpowered. Fine Tem, we will finish this fight now. After all, I need to drag your hopeless ass back to Konoha before dark. Naruto told him in his demonic voice and brought a hand up to form a blood-red Rasengan that he forced as much chakra into as possible and condensed it as far as it would go. They both then launched at each other and slammed their attacks together, causing a wave of power to be sent out just from the two overpowered moves fighting for dominance. They then stood there trying to force through each other's attacks that could clearly be heard fighting against each other. Though after a while both of the attacks slowly began to weaken thanks to their fight, but seeing this, Shuk tried to force his hand through the attack even more. This action caused his hand attack to move just slightly, and instead of hitting head-on, grinded on the side enough that both attacks pushed past each other and hit the opponent. So, within moments Sasuke was sent slamming back into one side of the wall while Naruto hit the other side as the force pushed him back, causing two dust clouds to form. On one side, Naruto, groaning in pain, forced himself through the debris and shakily stood up, feeling pain from his chest. He then looked down and saw that he had yet again been hit hard enough to cause a massive cavity on his chest, but was still shy of finishing him off. Course, this just made Naruto think about how close he was to dying now that Biju Chakra created bloodlust fog over his mind was gone. For when Sasuke's attack hit him, it still had easily enough force to pierce through his body completely and hit his lung, but was weakened even more by the hardened shell of chakra that was the key reason he didn't have a hole in his body to deal with. I am happy that the Kyuubi's chakra saved my ass for that, though I really need to learn how to have a shell of defense like that for any fights. I mean, it just proved how good of a defense it truly could be. Naruto thinks, then looks over to where Sasuke hit and saw that the power he got from the curse mark went away and the Uchiha was out cold with debris still covering him. Yeah, it really was the only reason this fight wasn't a draw for us. Naruto thought, then slowly tried to make his way over to Sasuke while forcing himself to ignore the pain and damage that not only the fight gave him but also the Kyuubi chakra. Though before he reached Sasuke he was shocked to find out that all of a sudden, he had a blade sticking out of his gut. What was all that he could force out as he tried looking to see who literally stabbed him in the back. Well, I didn't expect Sasuke-kun to be beaten. I guess you really have been working hard to get strong, haven't you, Naruto-kun? He heard the person say behind him before taking the blade out of him, letting his body fall to the ground. The person then walked in front of Naruto towards Sasuke, letting Naruto finally see who it was. Orochimaru. Naruto forced out, trying his best to glare at the traitor while in immense pain. Yes, Naruto-kun. My team was taking so long to deliver my newest student that I just had to find out what was wrong. Orochimaru told him, then picked up the unconscious Uchiha. But I did not expect my elite team to be stopped by a group of newly graduate genin. If they aren't dead, I must make sure to punish them. He casually told Naruto, showing just how little he cared about anyone of his own ninja. Course, before Naruto could even try to force a comment out, he quickly left, leaving Naruto to bleed out on the ground as rain quickly started to fall. Damn it, was all Naruto could think of before his world went black. Chapter 24. Foolish Kit. Nearly losing to a single Nigan. Pathetic. Was the first thing Naruto heard when he woke up and found himself in a large sewer system. What Kyuubi? Was Naruto's first response before he shook off the fogginess he felt in his head. Well, what do you expect? Even if he was a bastard, he still trained to be a good ninja. He then added, Bah, the Uchiha brat may have trained, but you trained much more. You had a good amount of your clan jutsu that you never even used. You had a bloodline that could easily restrain and keep your opponent away, and you fought him head on. Kid, you didn't think, and that is why I was forced to help a sorry bastard like you. I warn you, next time you fight you better use what you know. I refuse to have a weak jailer, even if I plan on getting out of here as soon as possible. Kyuubi told him after his cage seemed to just appear out of nothing right behind Naruto. His figure at the moment was completely blocked by darkness, only showing his eyes and his teeth whenever he spoke, making him a terrifying sight for anyone except Naruto, who was used to it. Though the most interesting part of the cage for Naruto when he turned to look at the fox was that he was now standing on what looked to be a field of grass. Well, that is new. Naruto couldn't help but think until the fox's words sunk into his own thoughts and he clenched his teeth in annoyance. Damn, Fuzzball actually is making sense. I could have done that much better, but thanks to finally feeling strong in my life for once I got way too cocky. I will have to work on that. Naruto admitted to himself before sitting down with his legs crossed, unconsciously making himself float on top of the water. Yay, that fight probably could have gone better, Fuzzball, I will admit that, though any clue how long I will be stuck in my mind world? I want to see how the others did, Naruto asked the fox, clearly concerned with his teammates, which made the Kyuubi blink in surprise. This kid actually admitted that I was right. Usually my jailers only just try and ignore me no matter what and just try to steal my chakra, and he actually cares more about his team for a reason to get out of here rather than wanting to get away from me. This kid is a strange niggin. The Kyuubi thought before responding to the blonde. Even with my chakra and your own regeneration healing you, that snake bastard's blade is slowing down the process, seeing as it automatically added poison that tried to make your blood thinner and take longer to clot. So even though the process has been going on for the 2 days you were out cold, meaning you probably will have to wait a few more of the real world hours before you can wake up, meaning maybe a full day in your mind world. Kyuubi told him honestly and expected him to complain, though was surprised yet again by the fact Naruto just said, "Thanks," and sat down and simply seemed to be meditating to anyone who could see him. But to the fox, who even when it is a mind version of the blonde could read his mind a bit, could tell he was going over his last mission to try and see what he needed to work on. This niggin, Kyuubi began to think, surprised before simply just forgetting it and curling up to rest after spending a good amount of time watching the blonde heal. Konoha Hospital. Haku, Sakura, Ino, and Hinata were all sitting in a clean white room that currently held the still unconscious Naruto. They have spent a good amount of time of the past 2 days just waiting and worrying about Naruto. Course Ayame also came in to watch over him as well, but due to having a job as a civilian she still was pretty busy even though she wanted to be there. Still, she didn't force herself to go to work until Haku, Ino, and Hinata told her they would tell her when he woke up right away if she was stuck at work. Which just shows that they were all worrying about their boyfriend's safety, seeing as they saw the injuries he came in with, and Sakura would tell you she is simply worried about her teammate. Course both Ino and Hinata also checked up on their own teammates as well, but Kiba was released from the hospital yesterday and Choji was simply staying another night under watch after he was successfully healed, though Ino couldn't help but smile a bit when she remembered the reaction her get well present got. Flashback: Naruto's day 2 of healing, aka day before. Ah, man, this sucks. I mean, the hospital food is so bad even I can barely call it food. Choji complained after he woke up from his emergency medical session. Well, Choji, at least you will be leaving tomorrow and then you will be able to eat all you want anywhere you want. Shikamaru told his teammate, who smiled and began to droll at the thought. Still, I am sorry that I let all of you guys get so injured. He added, upset, looking down at his hands which only had a splint on one of his fingers. Hey Shikamaru, don't worry about it, we all knew what could happen on the mission and still accepted. Remember, we are all ninja and we all know that at any time, that might happen to us. Choji told him in one of his rare serious times. Shikamaru was about to respond when the door opening up suddenly stopped him. Both of the guys then saw Ino walking in carrying a large tray of food. Food. Choji called out, happily drooling at the sight of the food, and would have ran over to her if he still didn't feel weak. This of course only made Ino chuckle and walk over to the food lover to let him eat what he wanted after they helped him sit up. Yes, and it is all for you, Choji, seeing as the doctors said that you have no restrictions anymore besides having to get some rest and relaxation. Ino told him and then watched amused as he finished the food nearly as fast as Naruto with ramen. Ah, that hit the spot. Thank you so much, Ino. Choji told her, happily rubbing his belly. though I would never think that you would ever be the one letting me eat as much as I wanted, not that I mean to be offensive by saying that. He told her, adding the last part fearing she would get mad at him. Sigh. Yachoji, I know I was like that before with my dieting craze, but I outgrew that. I mean, both me and Sakura have decided to stop that after we became determined to become better ninja, and when we told Hinata, Tenten, and Haku that, they all immediately explained the problems with kunoichi dieting. Ino told them, remembering how against it the girls were. Plus, as much as I have to admit that you look good as your new skinny self, it just isn't the look for you. Now that I am not obsessed with only looks, I can honestly say you would just not be you without your normal weight. Ino told him honestly, and instead of getting mad at the comment that could be taken as a fat joke, he simply smiled at his friend. Thanks for finally understanding, Ino. He told her, happy that she wouldn't bug him constantly about his clan's desire to be chubby. Still, I figured you would be busy for most of your time worrying about Naruto, seeing as he is your boyfriend, and was the most injured of us all. Choji told his friend. Well, I am really worried about him, and Ayame and the rest of us do spend a lot of time just hoping that he wakes up when we aren't too busy to be with him. But still, I have known you two for all my life. So, how much of a cold-hearted girl would I have to be to forget about one of my closest friends when he is injured? She told him, shocking the now skinny boy quite a bit. Though he didn't let it affect him much and instead just enjoyed the fact they both visited him, and they all simply talked for a bit before Ino finally decided to go check up on Naruto yet again before the hospital visiting hours ended. Course, when she left, both of the boys were silent for a moment before their conversation turned to their female teammate. Man, if I knew Naruto would rub off so much on her, I would have tried to bring them together ages ago just so she wouldn't be so troublesome. Shikamaru commented while stretching his arms out over his head. Yay, I mean, sure, at first I was kind of worried about what her treatment in a CRA harem would be, even if she was mean to us for several of the academy years. But now I am with you on that idea. I mean, after he got her off of being stuck on the Uchiha, she changed her focus from becoming more beautiful to being a better ninja. Plus, it is nice that she seems to have gotten some of Naruto's personality as well, seeing as I doubt that our love-crazed friend would have ever put thought into who her precious people are. Choji admitted, seeing as he enjoyed being around the new Ino. Flashback end. When she came back this morning, she brought up a breakfast to Choji as well, just to make up for some of the things she said to him when she was in what she liked to call immature phase. But after that, she quickly went to see her new love interest, who as expected was still sleeping peacefully on the hospital bed. While he looked peaceful, if one was to look at his chest, they would see a large red area where the poison that was on whatever stab the blonde tried to eat away at. Naruto-kun, what happened to you and who did this? Ino thought, worried, knowing that Sasuke never touched poisons while he was in Konoha, so it couldn't be him. Course, the rest of the girls around him were also just as curious as to what happened as well, especially Haku, who wanted to try and get revenge on whoever hurt her master, while she wasn't there to protect him. Course, it was at this time that she finally remembered something that she forgot about before. Oh, wait, I am such a fool. How could I forget that this is what my clan's own information gathering jutsus are for? Ino thought before walking up to Naruto's head while doing hand signs, making the rest of the girls curious. Course, they didn't get any time to ask her a question before she already used her jutsu to enter Naruto's mind. Mindscape. Now let's see. First step is to create a physiological representation of Naruto's mind. She began to think and plan to make the world she could move around in and look for information in before she realized that she was already in a massive sewer system. Okay, so he already has one. I thought Dad said that almost all people never really have the ability to make their own mind world. Strange. Still, I guess I better just go find the information I am looking for. She thought, shrugging of the weirdness before moving through the sewers, but surprisingly not really feeling her feet getting wet even though they were in water. Course, while doing this she attempted to float around and look like you were supposed to in the world they created, but in this one something seemed to be stopping her from doing so. Still, she walked around the system looking for where his memories would be before eventually entering a very large room. Looking around said room, she saw that its walls were just like the rest of the system, but in this room half of it seemed to be split off by massive bars, and beyond said bars was what appeared to be grass. Though the most surprising thing for her is that she saw what looked to be an unconscious Naruto sitting near the bars looking into them. So, she quickly grew curious as to why the bars were there and began walking up to them and nearly went through them before all of a sudden she felt her breath leave her as a massive amount of chakra that was darker than anything she ever felt before appeared and forced her to her knees. What is this chakra? It feels like extremely condensed ki. But that is impossible, Naruto. Just what kind of chakra do you have? She thought, now slightly worried, before she looked around the cage and this time nearly had a heart attack as she saw two massive eyes staring down at her. Well, what do you know? The kid's mind walking vixen actually came into his mind. Well, I guess I should show her why a Jinchuriki's mind isn't something the unprepared should enter. The Kyuubi called out with an evil smile growing on his face as he launched a wave of his dense chakra at the girl that would easily cause chakra burns and corrosion on whatever parts of her body it touched. And seeing as what happened in the mind realm happened to her in the real world, that would have been really bad. Though right before it could hit her, a blur got in front of her and took the hit. Che, damn spoilsport, Kyuubi muttered before falling back asleep now that his chance of fun was gone. What are you doing here, Ino-chan? Ino heard a voice kindly tell her and quickly looked back in the direction she saw the beast, only to see Naruto looking at her worried. Well, I was just trying to figure out what happened to you, seeing as Kakashi-sensei had no idea. Ino admitted. Sorry for entering your mind without your permission. I know it was wrong and you can get me reprimanded when you wake up if you want. I was just worried. But before you do, what was that thing? Ino told him, going from upset to afraid only to be surprised that Naruto hugged her. Ino, I am not mad that you entered my mind. After all, I would be worried if one of you girls were in the hospital for so long with no one knowing why or how. Plus, with your clan's ability, the temptation of finding out must have been too much to ignore. Naruto told her, trying to comfort her, seeing as he hated seeing anyone upset. Just if there is a next time you come into my mind, make sure I am able to show you around to what you need, or that you are prepared. Seeing as that thing, as you called it, is the Kyuubi, he is my sealed resident, as you found out about a while ago. Naruto told her honestly. That was the Biju that attacked years ago. I don't know how people ever found the willpower to fight that massive creature. Ino mumbled, feeling a shiver of terror run through her body. Yay, it is amazing what people will do when pushed. Though Ino, if you don't mind, can you leave my mind for now, seeing as I will be able to explain what happened myself when I wake up in a few hours, but it means a lot to know someone finally is worrying about my safety. Naruto told her honestly, and she simply nodded her head and dismissed her just you and began to fade from Naruto's mind, with her last thought being how sad he seemed talking about people worrying about his safety. It must be because of the childhood all of us in the village gave him, was her last thought. Then she returned to the outside world. Outside world. When Ino came out of her jutsu, she first tried to walk to the others but stumbled for a moment before getting her footing again and sat down next to the others, now tired, feeling mentally tired. Course she then realized that all of the others in the room were still staring at her with curiosity clear on their faces. So, what happened? Sakura asked her friend, knowing exactly what she just did. Well, I wasn't able to learn anything from Naruto's mind. His defenses were too good even when he was out cold. So, I can't say who or how this happened to him, but I do know he should be waking up in a few hours, seeing as his mental persona told me. Ino told them, causing all of them to smile at that. 2 hours later. Naruto slowly began to finally feel himself leaving his mental world and began to feel the soreness that his body still felt. Soon after, he was able to smell all of the chemicals around him, making him realize he was in the hospital. Course he didn't let this disappointment stop him from opening his eyes, slowly blinking away the blurriness that he soon saw, and eventually looked around the room to see 4 excited people standing close to the bed. Good, you are finally awake, Naruto-kun, Hinata mumbled out, relieved. Yay, how are you feeling, Naruto? Sakura asks the blonde. I feel sore, still sorry for making you guys worry, it seems like that is all I have been doing recently. Naruto mumbles out, even though his throat felt dry and coughed a few times. Course before he could even ask for something, Haku was already close to him with a cup of water. Do not worry, Naruto-sama, this is just a part of being ninja for our village, though who did this so I may know who to kill for harming my master? Haku asked him after letting him drink the water. Someone that I don't want you to fight, Haku-chan. But if you really must know, I suppose you can see if you can sit in for the report. I am sure Ba-chan will want soon, I am sure. Naruto told them, not wanting to explain his first failed mission more than once. Fine, Haku told him after a moment of realizing he didn't want to talk about it. Yay, right now it is just good to have my fellow blonde awake again. I mean, you have no idea how worried we were for the 2 days it took you to do so. Ino quickly added, getting away from a touchy subject. I guess, though, why did you girls wait so long? All of you had to have much better stuff to do than just looking after a sleeping person. Naruto asked them briefly, having his thoughts flash back to the times where he woke up as a child in the hospital after a beating, with only a letter and present from Sarutobi explaining he had to do his job but wanted him to get well. Are you crazy, Naru-kun? We are your girlfriends, of course we would care enough about you to put seeing you and taking care of you while you were injured above anything else we could be doing. Ino told him, shocked that he would think they would do that. Why, yay, Naruto-kun, we all care for you. Hinata shyly confirmed, shocking the blonde even more. He then just looked at each one of the people around him and saw nothing but concern and care. They all truly do care for me, so this is truly what having loved ones feels like. I think I like this new warm feeling. Naruto thought, happy now that they broke him from his thoughts of his bad past. Thank you girls for caring, was all he told them, but they didn't realize what just that alone meant to a Jinchuriki. Course it still brought a smile to each of the girls' faces. Wow, they all really do care for each other. Sakura thought, beginning to get lost in thought, looking at the lovers with longing in her eyes. Course this moment only lasted a minute or two before Naruto remembered where he was. Girls, as much as I enjoy all of you around me, can one of you get someone to check up on me to release me from the hospital? I really don't like this place. Naruto asked, making them all laugh a bit. Sure, Naruto, it is just funny how you are fine doing anything else, but when it comes to a hospital you try and avoid them no matter what. Ino told him, still laughing now, remembering how they had a day of school where they all had to go to the hospital for a physical exam to make sure they were all healthy enough to be ninja. For during that time Naruto not only tried to skip the day of school but also managed to escape from the class 2 times in comical ways, only to be dragged back by Iruka, who even threatened to tie him up to make him go with the class. Course Naruto just blushed out of embarrassment. I can't help it if this place is terrible. Blame the people that made it all white and make it always smell like nasty chemicals. Naruto mumbled out, making the girls laugh yet again, until Ino left to get someone to check on Naruto. Little while later. When a doctor finally came in, they quickly ran a scanning jutsu over Naruto and eventually found that he was good enough to leave the hospital, much to the pleasure of said blonde. So, he quickly prepared to leave the room and get as far away from it as he could, and found that Haku actually managed to quickly go to their house to get him a clean pair of clothes, which was rewarded with a quick kiss on the lips. Needless to say, this caused said girl to blush a bit at the unexpected kiss, but still had a small smile on her face after it. Course eventually Naruto came back to the girls wearing said clothes and happily brought them all out of the hospital. So, what should we do now, gals? Naruto asked happily, not able to try and figure out what he wanted to do first after getting out of the hospital. Well, Naruto-kun, we told Ayame-san that we would tell her when you woke up, so it would be best to go to the stand now. Hinata told her boyfriend, who smiled back at her. Great idea, Hinata-chan. Not only do we get to see Ayame-chan after such a long nap but also get some ramen, Naruto tells her, happily giving her a tight hug before walking a bit faster towards the shopping district for his ramen, leaving the rest of the girls to wake up a surprised blushing Hinata before following after their hyper boyfriend, or in Sakura's case teammate. I guess Naruto-kun is really hyper now that he is out of the hospital and he did spend 2 days knocked out. He must have a lot of energy to burn, Hinata began to think right after the hug, which quickly continued to become her own little fantasy that she stayed in, blushing the whole time until she was woken up by the rest of the group. Course after this they made it to the stand relatively fast and all sat down on the stools. Hello and welcome to Naruto. Ayame began saying, then when she saw Naruto she was shocked for a moment before giving him a tight hug. Thank God you are finally awake, Naruto-kun, we were all so worried about you. She added in while still holding him tight. Ayame-san, you may want to loosen up your hold on him or he might pass out. Sakura gently told Ayame, only for her to look at Naruto and begin to see him go blue. Oh, Naruto, I am so sorry. She quickly tells him and lets him out of the hug. It is okay Ayame-chan, I am just happy that all of you girls are somehow happy being with someone like me. Naruto says with a weak smile. Don't say that Naruto-kun, even though we have to share we do so willingly just because we all love you that much. You aren't a bad person for having to date multiple girls and we can all tell that you are trying your best to keep us all happy. Hinata told him, shocking the rest of the group seeing as she didn't even stutter at all. Course after Naruto got over that and thought about what Hinata said, he blushed out of embarrassment and rubs the back of his head. Thank you I guess Hinata, but honestly with your girl's beauty while still working hard and not being snotty you all really deserve to be treated like the princesses you are in my opinion. Naruto told them, not really knowing how to explain himself. Course he still managed to get each one of his girlfriends to blush at this comment. Oh, thank you Naruto-kun. I think you deserve a reward. Ino told the blonde, then glanced over to Ayame with a smile that somehow was brought to her face as well, and they both leaned over to Naruto and kissed him on both cheeks at the same time, causing Naruto to blush, not knowing what to do. Well, it looks like we surprised our favorite blonde boy a bit. Ayame told the group, giggling before she heard Naruto's stomach growl. I guess I should take care of that as well. She added with a laugh before taking all the other girls' orders and went back to prep the meal, seeing as she already knew what Naruto always gets. Well, I guess I should have expected something like this. Still it I so awkward being the third wheel so to speak. I really need to find someone, Sakura thought as she watched the scene she accidentally was stuck in the middle of. Still, even with Sakura feeling out of place, the whole group still had a good meal, happily talking to each other, with Ayame joining in whenever there weren't more customers coming in. Eventually they all had their fill and the group headed towards the Hokage Tower, seeing as Naruto still had to give Tsunade his report and the girls were all curious about what happened. Though when they learned exactly what happened, all the girls were either horrified or enraged. Still eventually he finished and Naruto was finally able to leave and head back home to rest, and all the rest of the group felt like they wanted to do the same thing, although they still had a lot of the day left. So, Naruto quickly made a few clones and ordered them to walk each one of them home, making each one of them even happier at their boyfriend's attempt to be the proper guy. Ino's house. With Ino, she happily walked home with her arm holding onto Naruto's until they eventually made it back to her clan house, and she kissed the clone on the lip to say goodbye and quickly ran inside, not seeing the surprised blush she created before the clone dispelled. Though when she made it inside, she quickly went to find her father. This search made her eventually reach his home office where he was looking through a few scrolls. Hey dad. Yes Ino, what is it? Inoichi asked, putting down his scroll. Well, is it possible for people to have an inner world without us needing to create it? Well, I suppose that it is possible if said person used their mind a lot. But that is very unlikely, seeing as even genjutsu users who have to use their intelligence in there for their jutsu, so meeting one is next to impossible, more than likely. In fact, I can only think of 2 people in this village that might be possible to have an inner world. Inoichi told her. Why do you ask? Well, I was curious what happened to Naruto, so I, might have entered his mind while he was still out cold to try and find out what happened to him. She told him, then flinched back, expecting him to be mad at her for invading someone's privacy. Course at first she just saw her father take a deep breath before looking at her. While I am disappointed that you broke clan rules, I will let you go with only a warning. Though you must tell Naruto, and if he so desires that he can get you punished for it if he doesn't already know you did it. But as for his mind, he is a special case. Inoichi told her seriously. Yes, I have already told him, seeing as I saw him in his own mind. But when you say special case, do you mean the fact that he is a Jinchuriki? She asked, relieved he isn't too mad at her, but still noticed him freeze up when she said Jinchuriki. First off, do not tell anyone else about that, seeing as that is supposed to be a secret that only a few know of, and you could be punished for knowing if the wrong person told you. He told her seriously, only for cutting him off. Well, Naruto was the one who told us after we asked about the seal on his chest. She quickly told him, afraid of punishment from the village, which usually started with going to the T&I's area, which everyone fears. Well, then that is fine. Just don't tell people that you know and you will be fine. But I guess seeing as you do, I can explain why his mind is a bit different. You see, due to his condition of having a demon sealed into his body itself, Naruto's mind is changed. For the demon somehow pushes its conscious through the seal so that it is able to represent itself within the holder's mind. It then tries its hardest to make the person used in the seal to either release them or let them do what they want. This of course puts a lot of strain on their minds. Course also due to the fact that people don't understand the sealing process fully, they treat the person differently, putting even more strain on their minds. Due to this they always have enough mental parts, shall we say, to build their own mind realm. Though these are very dangerous for mind walkers like us. For within that area there are large pathways for both the Jinchuriki's own chakra, which is usually massive, and also a pathway for the demonic chakra that the seal siphons off from the beast, which is highly corrosive to those not used to it. Inoichi explains, and Ino instantly pictures the red chakra that was about to hit her only to be blocked. So that means just that small amount of chakra would have severely hurt me if Naruto-kun didn't block it. She realized mentally, thanking the blonde for saving her from a lot pain and even possibly her untimely death. Course as she thought this, her father continued his explanation. Now the most dangerous part of this is the beat itself, which while the seal stops it from being able to harm the host directly, does not stop it from being able to attack any mind walkers that enter what could be considered its territory. This is why anyone entering a Jinchuriki's mind needs to use extreme caution, or else they more than likely to die. Inoichi tells her remember all the times he needed to enter the blonde's mind to make sure that he was still sane. A job that put a bitter taste into not only his mouth but everyone who knew about it. For all of them knew the main reason it had to be done was due to the villagers treating the unlucky blonde like trash. So, I highly recommend that you never try to enter his mind until you are much more skilled in our clan's jutsu. And even then only do so if absolutely necessary. He finished telling his daughter, realizing that he shook her up quite a bit now that she realized what danger she was unknowingly in. Thank you, father. She stuttered out and left to go relax and sort out her own thoughts for a bit. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you have any fanfictions you would like to see on the channel, leave them in the comments, and have a great day.